Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming to you from right here on my YouTube channel. I am, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies, movie news, TV, streaming, all sorts of good things. Robert Meyer Burnett is not with us here. Well, he is here today. He's just not here right now. He is off shooting a mailbag episode for us. It's going to come up a little bit later. And then you'll see Robert a little bit later today when we do our Boys Season 3 open spoiler discussion. So you're going to get a couple of doses of Rob today. But joining me right now, Amy Newman. Amy, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm a little worried for the comments that are now blowing up. Like, Amy's picking off the rest of the team. There's no other
Chris, way. And now she's taking out Rob. Next week, I'll be gone.
It'll be the Amy Newman Show.
And by the way, so this is the finale of your first week.
Yes.
How's it been?
It's been fantastic. Been such a pleasure. Honestly, everyone's been so great. Everybody who's reached out on social media and stuff, thank you so much. It means the world to me, and I've been having a blast. Can't wait to do it again next week.
And you've been great this week.
And
by the way, again, best well wishes to Chris Carr. I know all you guys have been sending her well wishes as she's been recovering at home, and we'll see her again real soon. Sitting over here, always in a state of recovery, joining you guys in the live chat, Ray Ora. Ray?
I got to tell you a quick story real fast. I went to go fill up my gas at an AM/PM. And, you know, we have Spam, we have bologna, but I picked up some of my favorite mystery meat for lunch, and it's that rib sandwich.
At a gas station?
If you like McRibs, you know, if you like mystery meat, this one's the most dangerous because
if you like the McRib, but you hate yourself.
Rib sandwich that's like getting sushi at a gas
station. The McRib's a little too classy for you.
Not only do you not know what's in it, like the rest of the mystery meats, but it tastes like ribs.
Well, you showed
and
up.
It's smoky flavor. It's like, what is going on here? So if any of you haven't tried one of those McRibs, don't. But also do, because I love them.
So now, kids, don't get into a car with a stranger. But if you do,
see if you like it.
Make sure it's at this street corner because they're the best.
Yeah,
They're the
anytime
best
we're
candy.
like doing like a run for supplies and stuff, and we go, he's like, go pull in this gas station. He's like, do you want anything to eat, like a sandwich or anything? I'm like, no.
No, I'm good. Oh, by the way, producer running the show today, Jonathan Voico.
Hey, everybody.
Jonathan, how's your intestines doing today? Your stomach? Eat any of that mystery meat?
I have avoided mystery meat most of my life, yeah. Unless it was by accident, but happy Friday, everybody.
And guys, it is great to have you here today joining us, and congratulations for making it through to the end of another week. Here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to break it up into two parts. In the first half of the show, we're going to talk about some predetermined topics. Then in the second half of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. If you'd like to get a live comment or question on the show, number one, you got to be watching live. Number two, when we get to the end of the main topics, I'm going to announce that we're opening up the super chats. And when we do, you guys can start firing in those thoughts, observations, theories, questions, whatever, and we'll address those at the end of the show. Okay, guys, with that down, let's jump into our main topics here today, shall we? And how do we select our main topics here in the John Campea Show? Well, that's easy. You guys come up with them. Whenever you guys come across a big topic, issue, or story that you guys feel we need to cover as a main topic here on the show, just go anytime 24/7 over to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. Once you guys get there, you're going to see a form. Fill it out with your topic or question. It's absolutely free. Hit submit, and then maybe, just maybe, you might see your submission featured as a main topic here of the John Campea Show. With that down, Amy, what is our first main topic today?
Our first main topic comes to us from Kyle. Hey, y'all. So I just saw an article saying Sony is removing certain digital movies you bought in some areas like Germany, for instance. What irks me is last year when Sony disabled the ability to purchase digital movies from their store, they promised that any already bought content will not be removed. I get these purchases are essentially extended rentals, but shouldn't Sony keep to their word here?
All right. Thanks a lot for sending that in, Kyle. And there is an ongoing discussion in the world of film fandom about physical media. The indisputable thing is that physical media is going away. I mean, that's indisputable. The facts are there. All you got to do is look at the statistics. Robert Meyer Burnett will be the first one to tell you physical media is disappearing. But the second part of that discussion is, should it disappear? I mean, it is. It doesn't matter how we feel about it. But should it disappear? Now, I am a digital media guy. I actually abandoned physical media many years ago. I just found that, number one, the ability to have full access to my entire movie library on any device, any phone, any neighbor's house or friend's house I'm visiting at any time I want, just at a click, my entire movie collection is right there. Way too convenient. Also, the fact that it doesn't take up any physical space. And it's since I've discarded physical media personally, I've moved 4 times. Not having to move all those discs, and not to mention over the years, discs go missing. Everybody who I've presented says, "Oh no, I've never lost a DVD." Liar. That's like saying I've never masturbated. Yes, you have. You lie. You have had DVDs gone missing.
You made right there.
I mean, it's like one and the same.
The amount of times though I've opened like Fight Club and been like, "Why is Bug's Life in here?"
Yes,
yeah,
right. Friends borrow them, whatever. So you can tell me physical media doesn't go disappearing. It absolutely does. And then
no comment on the other one.
I plead the fifth. And then, Rob will be the first one to tell you as well. Rob has like the most impressive physical media collection like ever. But he'll tell you, oh yeah, probably about 3/4 of my physical media collection I've never actually put into a player and watched. Right? So it's just kind of sitting there, taking up space, whatever. That's my thing. But one of the big counter arguments about physical media and the pros of physical media over digital, besides the fact that as of right now, it is changing, but as of right now, you can get a better, clearer picture and image with physical media than you can digital, although that is changing. That is starting to change. But one of the other big ones is this. If you own all your movies on digital, well, you don't actually have a lot of control over it. What happens if your digital movie service that you use, poof, disappears? What happens to your movies? Now, that has been kind of a false argument based on a hypothetical. But as alluded to by our viewer, it's starting to become a little bit tangible because in Germany and Austria, I believe, PlayStation, if you are a PlayStation user out there and you bought a couple of movies from Studio Canal, now this is getting very specific. If you live in those countries and you're on PlayStation and you bought movies that were Studio Canal things, you're going to be losing access to those. This comes to us from the folks at Variety who wrote the following. The move comes a year, because PlayStation is now removing these. The move comes a year after Sony PlayStation Group stopped offering movie and TV show purchases and rentals as of August 31st, 2021, citing the rise of streaming video services. At the time, Sony assured customers that they can still access movie and TV content they have purchased through Sony PlayStation Store for on-demand playback on their PS4, PS5, and mobile devices. But clearly, that didn't mean forever. It's unclear whether PlayStation Store will refund customers for their purchases of movies that will no longer be available. A Sony rep declined to provide any details about that. Studio Canal reps for the German-Austria region had not responded to a request for comment. All right, so first thing here is, let's keep this in context. This is a very finite issue. It is about PlayStation movie owners in Germany or Austria regarding Studio Canal films. Now, there are some significant ones there. Number one, what should happen here? Here's what should happen. Now, I can't remember the name of the service, but it was last year another movie providing service kind of shut down. But what they did when they shut down was they allowed your movie collection to be transferred to another service, and I didn't lose any of the movies that I had. Great. So what should happen here with this PlayStation thing is that Studio Canal and PlayStation have to come to some kind of agreement to say, hey, listen, people bought these movies in good faith. If they can't be provided for, if we can't work out our licensing agreement with each other, we've got to provide these customers who paid us money in good faith with a way of still accessing their content, even if it's not on PlayStation. Say, hey, no problem. Can't get on PlayStation anymore, but we made a deal with Movies Anywhere. You can still access all your purchased movie. That is absolutely what they should do. What they should not do, what must not be allowed to happen, is PlayStation just to go, oh, well, too bad. That they should not be able to do. And I've got to believe that Sony, not only morally and ethically, will do that, I have to believe there's legislation that is going to require them to do that. So I think it's interesting that Variety said, hey, they're not saying they're not going to transfer it to other places. We just don't have any word on that right now. So that's interesting to see. Look, as Amy, as a digital movie guy, this is concerning to me. It is. Again, it's very isolated. It's very localized. And I don't want to get into a slippery slope argument because those are useless. But still, I mean, that is worrisome. That is the manifestation about what some hardcore physical media people are saying. One of these days they're going to come like a thief in the night and take your movies away. So, I mean, I got to believe at some point Sony transfer this over. Anyway, you see the situation. What stands out to you about this?
I mean, I am definitely more of a physical copy kind of person. And I think this sort of thing is exactly the anxiety. Like, I have a bit of a weird anxiety about, like, I don't want my movie to exist. I'm not great with text. I'm like, in the cloud. I don't know. Where is it? What are they going to do with it? But, even talking about they're going to make this right, they're going to refund it. Let's be honest. Most people don't read past the headlines on something like this. And this could be, I'm aware digital movies are going to continue to become the wave. I don't think this is going to stop it from happening, but I think it could slow it down just a little bit. Just a few knocks like this make people think over and over again of, well, if I really love a movie, I don't want to pay $20 for it and lose it. Because again, even if they fix this, a lot of times people are seeing this headline and going, oh, so I don't even own my movie? And that's what their takeaway is going to be. Because they're not reading that fine print. They're not reading the follow-up article. They're not going, well, let's wait and see what PlayStation does about this. So I think for a lot of people who are on the fence about that, or who are more interested in owning a hard copy of something, this is going to, just solidify those beliefs a little stronger.
Yeah. Now for me, and I'm only talking about myself, this is only my case scenario. I have probably, prior to divesting myself of my physical media, I had probably lost 15 to 25 movies over the course of, granted, I collected a lot of movies, but still, I'd probably lost 15 to 20 movies. In the nearly decade I've been collecting my movies digitally, I haven't lost one. I never lost one. I never had to go to a store to buy them. I never had to find a physical place to put them. And for every one, but Disney blurred out the bare ass in Splash. Really? That's supposed to be the big concern to me right now? Again, then you can get into slippery slope arguments, but still. So again, I'm not going to get too worried about it. But again, as a digital media guy, even I have to say, that's a little concerning depending on how PlayStation and Studio Canal deal with it. If they tell everybody we're either going to A, refund you, or B, we're going to take your rights and move them to another service so you still have access to that content you provided, then everything's good. If they don't, that can be a problem. Anyway, question is for you guys. What do you think about this? PlayStation removing access to some completely legitimately purchased movies from a certain studio in a couple of certain countries, but still, is that a big deal? Is it not a big deal? Am I making too much of this? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to main topic number 2. Amy, what is our second main topic today?
Our second topic today comes to us from Alton Wang. With recent events, do you think movie theaters will start doing bag checks or ban large bags? I know some theaters did after The Dark Knight. Will this hurt their business?
All right. Thanks a lot for saying that in, Alton. Now, look, on the John Campea Show, we don't get into big news. We don't, unless it's movie related. We don't get into big news. We don't get into politics. We don't do any of that kind of stuff. Unless some of those stories overlap with our, as fans, movie watching experience. And with a lot of the events going on in the United States, and particularly when it comes to gun violence and stuff like that, this is one of those areas where it does start to overlap with who we are as movie fans and how is this going to affect our movie-going experience. Now, obviously, there have been a couple of tragic events that have happened in movie theaters over the last bunch of years. I want to keep that in context, though, that considering every day in the United States of America alone, there's probably around 27 to 35,000 movie screenings a day. All right, around 27 to 35,000 movie screenings a day. The fact that we have 2 to 3 incidents over the past, when was the Dark Knight Rises issue? That was almost 10 years ago. The fact that we've had 2 or 3 significant incidences over the past nearly 10 years with 27 to 35,000 screenings every day, extrapolate that 365 days per year over almost 10. I mean, that's a pretty small number. But the rate of gun violence is not going down. And therefore, I've seen the question pop up in several circles, should movie theaters be doing more for security? In particular, the thing that comes up a lot is bag checks. Now, we've already seen a lot of movie theaters ban wearing masks, even though a lot of people love cosplaying when they go to their favorite comic book movie, understandable, but I get it. Take the mask off. We saw recently that movie theaters were banning large groups of people dressing up in suits to go to Minions, because unfortunately a lot of them acted like jackholes and would like completely distract from the movie for everybody else by waving their flashlights in the air and doing things when other people didn't pay to go see those jackholes. They went to go see a movie. So I get that. Should they do bag checks? All right. The first thing that I think bag checks would not be is an imposition on our liberty. I don't think that at all, right? But is it practical? Because for you now, the average kid working at a movie theater, like Anna and I went to go see Thor again last night. It was like, and Anna and I commented to each other, these look like children.
Yeah.
These don't even look like high school students. These look like children. But still, are we going to put that on a kid who's just there working, $12 an hour or whatever? Are we putting the security of the theater on them? So it becomes an expensive thing. Sometimes lineups to get into the theaters take a while. Do we want a TSA situation now? Do we want to start telling people like at the airport, if you're flying internationally, show up at the airport 2 hours before your flight? Do we want to tell them, hey, if you're coming to the movie theater tonight, make sure you show up 45 minutes before your scheduled start time, because it might take you a little while to get in. I mean, I would say this. I, in principle, would not be against the idea of bag checks going in if it makes audiences feel more secure. But I would need them to come up with a cost-effective, efficient way to do it before implementing it, because they're asking, would this hurt their business? Well, listen, if it's not effective and it makes ticket prices go up $5 a piece and it makes people have to take 20 minutes to get into the movie theater, then yes, it's going to hurt their business. Fewer people are going to go to the theater then. So I'm for it, but you got to come up with a way first for it to be effective. I don't know. Amy, you hear people bring up the question, hey, should we start increasing security at a movie theater? Should we start doing bag checks? I don't know. What do you think about that?
I mean, my gut instinct was yes, absolutely. I've gone to theaters recently and, having gone to amusement parks or travel or different events where you're going, yeah, you just go through the little thing, they check your bag, that's just normal. Occasionally going to a theater does make me go, it's weird that there's however many of us in a room and no one double checked that anyone had anything sketchy. Like that does flash through my brain. That said, I mean, last couple of times I've been to a theme park or whatever, or a concert, they're like, let me check your bag. Okay. At the end of the day, unless they're going to start hiring, trained security professionals, which I don't think they're going to do, you're right. This is going to become a lot of 16-year-olds going, I'm not getting paid enough for this, and glancing through your bag. It's going to become a lot of security theater.
Right.
So in theory, I think it's a great idea. In practice, I just don't know if, for the number of people you have coming through a theater on any given day, this isn't even like an amusement park where it's like the ticket price is high enough, they're there all day. Like you can kind of justify those checks. But I think with the amount of people you have coming through a movie theater, I just don't know if there's a really feasible way to do it that would actually become practical, that it would actually become a practical solution for this problem. Because let's be real, not weapons, but I've snuck plenty of stuff I shouldn't have had into a concert or into a theme bar,
My wife is the queen of that.
The
My
side
wife
pocket.
is the queen of
and
contraband.
I would like to say this. If they do implement this, I implore every bag checker at an AMC to just be cool about the candy in my purse. That's my big ask. Like, if this turns into you can't bring food in and they're checking, we're going to have a problem.
All right. There's only one person. I'm actually very curious about this because there's only one person in this room who's actually a parent, and that's producer Jonathan Voico. So I'm curious about you, Jonathan. I mean, I know recently you take your kids to movies and stuff like that. Is this a thought that's crossed your mind as a parent, or is it something that you think would be worthwhile implementing? I don't know. What do you think? You and I have never talked about this.
When we go, we either just don't get any snacks or whatever. Or if we do, we'll just get them there. But as far as security goes, I mean, for instance, I went to that Bob's Burgers screening, right? And I went with one of the girls, and a fight broke out there. But then who knows if someone in that fight is carrying a knife or a weapon, and it just escalates. Like, it was getting loud. They had to stop the movie. I mean, it's like, really, at Bob's Burgers? We're doing
Yeah,
this?
what was
Wow.
So, you know, and then I've been, this is at the AMC, I've been there before too, where they had to, like, someone started bolting down the back of the theater, you know, the hallway that leads to all the theaters, and they had to, like, go grab them and pull them out. And it's just like, who knows what these guys have or what they're trying to do. So maybe a security check. I mean, as far as like, just like weapons or something like that. I mean, but it also would really annoy me if someone's just trying to like sneak in like a candy bar and they're like, you gotta throw that away, you know?
Yeah, just I like what you said about that, Amy. Just say, hey, look, we have to check your bag. Don't worry. We're not looking for anything that wouldn't be reasonable, you know, that sort of thing.
Because again, let's be real, that 16-year-old isn't getting paid enough to care. But on the flip side, no, thinking about it, it's like, yeah, if it prevented one incident, would it be worth it? And I'm always in the camp of yes, but
Because here's the thing, Ray, as much as we know him to be adorable, if Ray's a big guy, Ray can be an intimidating looking guy. And if he walks up carrying his man purse, and some 16-year-old looks in it and he's got some big bowie knife, and then he looks at Ray, does he really want to give Ray a hard time?
It's just gonna be a Chipotle burrito. and credit to Chipotle, because sometimes if you get the right person, that thing will be big enough to be a weapon. So,
It looks like a baseball
and I
bat.
wouldn't have no problem cutting that in half and sharing it with
I'm
the
not
person.
kidding. At the Batman screening, he walks in like a little bit late, and he's carrying this like silver log. I'm like, what is that? It's a burrito.
It's life,
I'm like,
baby.
what?
It's sometimes if they start serving stuff like that lasts through the whole film, so to prevent me from falling asleep, maybe I'll
oh my
sneak
God.
it in.
Just the poor like
I did
woman next to you as you pull out this log of a burrito and
No,
start
no, no.
unwrapping in the middle of
he's
the
sharing.
movie.
He's so social. He said, would you like some?
You want a
man?"
bite? You want
The
some guac?
funny thing is, the actual woman that was sitting, the closest one, our friend, what's her name? The Designing Hollywood lady.
Oh, Martika.
She had her husband, her boyfriend, actually go to the Chipotle and get.
Yeah, she
herself
saw
a
him
burrito.
bring it in.
Started a
so she's-
movement.
Yeah, she sent her. She saw what he had. She goes, "Go get me one of those."
Yeah, and he
her
came back
husband-
with 2 Chipotle.
I actually
Good
hate
woman.
when people bring their like full-on meals and it's just like they're eating out of like a plate and stuff. I'm like, my God, it's an hour and a half.
they bring out
movie.
silverware.
It was the Batman. Come on, bro. Come on.
It was a long movie. All right. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this in light of everything that's going on in the United States of America and not a lot of other countries, but at least here? Do you think something like that could be implemented? Bag checks, something simple, but can they find efficient ways to do it? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. Before we move on to our next main topic today, we want to take a second and thank one of the sponsors of today's shows, our friends over at Storyblocks. We want to take a moment and thank the sponsor of today's video, Storyblocks. Guys, I have been an enthusiastic fan and user of Storyblocks for years. I go to them whenever I'm in need of content creation assets like royalty-free music, video clips, or templates for my creative projects, ranging anywhere from little editorial videos to my very own full-feature documentary. Storyblocks helps you bring your stories, videos, and projects to life without sacrifices due to time, budget, or access to resources. They have over 1 million different story assets ranging from stock videos, audio and music, an in-browser video editor, and they feature pre-designed templates, animations, and outros. Storyblocks uses an affordable subscription model, and their unlimited access plans offers, well, unlimited video and audio downloads rather than a costly pay-per-clip model. With Storyblocks, you'll be able to create more content and, more importantly, better content, all while using a subscription plan that fits your budget, utilizing unlimited downloads of demand-driven and diverse content. So if you're interested in upping your content creation game, head over to www.storyblocks.com/Campea and get started today. That's www.storyblocks.com/Campea. And a big thank you to our friends at Storyblocks for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. Guys, if you have any kind of aspirations of being content creators, whatever, you got to check out Storyblocks. By the way, don't forget, when you support our sponsors, you're actually supporting our show. So we've got links to the sponsors and their promo codes down at the top of the descriptions below. Go check them out, and thank you again to Storyblocks. All right, guys, with that down, let's move into main topic number 3. Amy, what is our third main topic today?
Our third main topic comes from Corey Eisner. Have you seen that a fan on Twitter named Kai Patterson edited all 6 episodes of Obi-Wan into a 2.5-hour movie? He added quite a bit of extra material into the show, including music and dialogue, and cut out all of the pieces that didn't really matter to the story at all. This changed the whole show for me and made me appreciate all the work that went into the series even more. So, have you seen this condensed Obi-Wan movie yet? And what did you and the crew think of this approach to the series overall? Keep up the great content, everyone.
All right, thanks a lot for saying that in. And you know, ever since, I can't remember what the name of the edit is, but somebody did an edit of the prequel movies. Mm-hmm. And I can't remember what the name, guys in the live chat, if you can help me out, what the name of this edit was, but it infinitely made them better. Like way better. Like it took the Nemoidians and it took out their stupid gibberish thing and actually made it an alien language, and they changed the subtitles of it and all that kind of stuff. And it just made the prequels 5 times better. Like much, much better. I can't remember what the actual name of them was. They called the de-cheese. Thank you. Guillaume Lebel put in the de-cheesed edition is what they called it. The de-cheesed edit. It's so, so much better. But we've seen that. Then a buddy of mine actually did a cut of Batman versus Superman that he called the Arkham cut. That was fabulous. Moved some things around, took a couple of things out, added in a few lines of dialogue, lifted from other places, and it just made the movie that much better. And so fan edits 99% of the time are gibberish and awful, but once in a while they can be pretty special. Well, this one is actually quite well done and even caught the attention of the folks at Variety, talking about this fan edit that this guy did, taking it down from about 3 hours and 20 minutes down to about 2.5 hours. Variety said this about it. The Obi-Wan show, in my opinion, suffered from things that were easily fixable in the script and in the edit. Patterson, who did the fan edit, writes about his decision to create the fan edit, which is streaming now on his personal website. Awkward pacing, whole scenes that ultimately amounted to nothing, goofy dialogue and directing choices. So I decided to take matters in my own hands and change what I could. I want to be very clear that this is my own artistic interpretation of how these scenes could be strung together to make something that works better for me personally. That comes from Variety. It's not often that you will see major trades covering something like a fan edit. Mm-hmm. So, being the journalist that I am, I decided last night, even though it was pretty late after I got home from watching Thor and then watched The Boys, I decided, you know what? I'm going to load this up and I'm going to watch it. Fantastic. Fantastic. And by fantastic, I mean the improvement over the show as it aired on Disney+. Mm-hmm. It doesn't make it the best Star Wars show I've ever seen, but the improvement is undeniable. Let me give you a couple of examples of just small things that they did that had a profound impact. One thing I noticed right away as soon as I hit play, that opening scene going back to the execution of Order 66 with the younglings in the Jedi Temple, where they make it clear that the one little girl is actually the Inquisitor, he took that scene out. He took it out. That one little edit decision made the Reva character far more interesting going through, because right from the beginning, it's like as soon as Reva showed up, I'm like, oh, well, she's the little girl who was in the temple. That was supposed to be a little bit of a discovery for the audience, right? Just that one decision to take that scene out of the beginning made the Reva character, while still a poorly done character, but still made the character far more interesting to me. So that was one little thing. Then he just made little things that take the little things that irritated the audience out. The scene where Leia's trying to run away from the bounty hunters, the bumbling bounty hunters chasing her through the woods, he just cut it out. So in the show, Flea shows up, and Flea says, "I'm here for you, princess." And that's not what Flea sounds like at all, by the way. But and then this big chase ensues, and the guys are tripping through the things, and then they finally catch her and put the bag over her head. Well, what he did was he has Flea saying, "We're here for you," and then it's instantly cuts to the bag going over her head. That's it. It's like, what? Wow, that made it way better. And then he did some things by addition. A lot of fans, including me, were like, in that epic Obi-Wan Vader fight to end the series, never really satisfactorily go, well, why did he leave him alive? He did that before, and it turned out badly. He fought Vader before in Revenge of the Sith, left him alive, turned out very badly, and now he's going to make the same mistake again. So what he did was, what the editor did, he just went back to the Phantom Menace and took Qui-Gon's words going, he is the chosen one. He will bring balance to the Force. So as Vader is down on one knee and Obi-Wan is still standing there with the lightsaber, he plays that audio as if it's a memory in Obi-Wan's head of Qui-Gon saying to him, Anakin is the chosen one and he will be the one to bring balance to the Force. And then he shuts down his lightsaber and says, goodbye, Anakin, and he leaves. By just dropping in that one little bit of dialogue in his memory, suddenly now Obi-Wan leaving had purpose and there was reason for it. And it also showed him relying and trusting Qui-Gon Jinn in doing it. And this, oh, you know what another great thing they do is? Here's another great thing they do in this. In the show, the Inquisitors show up on Tatooine, right? And they go to that saloon, they find the Jedi, and some way the Jedi just gets away. Mm-hmm. And then later, the Jedi runs across Obi-Wan in the desert, and then later, Obi-Wan sees the Jedi's body hanging. He just moved the scenes around. He had Obi-Wan come across the Jedi in the desert first, and then the scene where the Inquisitors find him, and instead of getting away, the Inquisitors kill him, and then a little bit later, Obi-Wan sees the body hanging. It's like, that makes far more sense. Mm-hmm. And it's just these little creative edits throughout. Again, I'm not going to say that this edit makes it as good as Mandalorian or anything like that. It doesn't. But it's 1,000% improvement over what they had on the show. It should have been a movie. This thing should have been 2 hours and 20 minutes long. And it just had much more impact, and it was really, really good. So, Jonathan, can you bring up the webpage again?
Oh, sure.
There for a second. I would highly encourage you guys to go find this article on Variety. Just search your Star Wars fan edit on Variety. They'll have a link to it. I highly encourage people to check it out because it's really good and makes me appreciate the show a lot more with like almost an hour taken out or 40 minutes taken out. Anyway, guys, yeah, highly recommend it. Check it out. Questions for you guys. Did you have a chance to see this edit of Obi-Wan? If you did, what did you think? Maybe you think I'm making too much out of the changes. Maybe you don't think I'm making enough out of the changes. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to main topic number 4. Amy, what is our fourth main topic today?
Our fourth main topic comes to us from Tony Ametti. Hi, John. Wow, what a ride season 3 of The Boys has been. Just incredible. I wanted to hear your thoughts on the roller coaster ride that was the finale. I thought it was thrilling and satisfying all at the same time. The writing on this show is so next level, it's crazy. So, what did you think of it? Thanks, and BOTF.
Listen, we have been, as fans, so spoiled the last couple of months with Umbrella Academy dropping, I'm still only halfway through Umbrella Academy. Stranger Things season 4, which was the best that show's ever been, and The Boys. The Boys has been exceptional. As a matter of fact, the big question has been, man, what's been better, Stranger Things or The Boys? I'm going to give the slight edge to The Boys. I mean, I loved Stranger Things season 4, don't get me wrong, but the finale came, and we're going to have an open spoiler discussion of the finale with Robert Meyer Burnett a little bit later today, so keep your guys' eyes open for that. But in my non-spoiler way, I can just say I thought this ending was perfect. There is a character who meets their end, and some people go, that was too sudden. But to me, for those of you who saw the show, you know who I'm talking about. For me, it was like the suddenness of it keeps the show unpredictable.
Yeah.
If you think every character's end should come with one big, clearly laid out pathway to some big climax, you're never going to be on your toes as an audience member. The suddenness of this one character's departure was like, oh my God.
Well, and Jesus, you want to compare it to Stranger Things, where it's like, well, they've been here from the beginning, so they're not going to touch them.
Yeah, so they're not going to, even though I really thought Steve should have died. But
how
whatever.
dare you?
But I mean, but here's the thing. So they did that. I thought that was great.
Yeah.
I was looking forward to this big epic final battle, and we got it in spades.
Yeah.
I mean, and a lot of characters got their true due. Without giving details away, Maeve gets her due.
Yeah,
Like Maeve
that
gets
was
the
great.
attention she deserves. Huey has a fabulous moment in this episode. Starlight has a fabulous moment in this episode. And here's one of the things I love about the boys. Ever since season 1, there is no black and white in this show. I've talked a lot about even Homelander as the most vile, evil character maybe on TV. They continuously hit us with moments where sometimes we even feel empathy for him,
Yeah.
right? So they continue to do that. But one great example of that, though, is the conflict that's been brewing between Mother's Milk and Billy Butcher. I put this on Twitter today because they've had this set up like Mother's Milk is the one who's been wronged. Because Butcher is going to, instead of letting Mother's Milk get his justice, get his revenge by taking out Soldier Boy, he wants to use Soldier Boy so he can go and get his revenge and his justice against Homelander. But at the end of the day, it's not so black and white. Because at the end of the day, Mother's Milk was trying to screw over Billy Butcher from getting his revenge so he could get his instead. And that's the beautiful thing about it. All these characters, the good guys, the bad guys, they have these, pardon the pun, but 50 shades of gray. It's beautiful and well executed and fantastic. And listen, this show is infinitely political.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no denying it. There's no getting around it. This show tends to portray the villains as a certain political slant and the heroes as a different I mean, it definitely does get into that. But sometimes it's shocking how real world it is.
Yeah.
There's the final scene in this, and again, I won't go into details. The final scene with Homelander in this, the most horrific thing in the scene is not what Homelander does, but it's what his supporters, the reaction of his supporters.
I thought it was going to be a little on the nose, like a little too much, but honestly, I thought they pulled it off pretty beautifully.
They did. They really did. And for me, as somebody watching the show, building up to this final episode, I felt by the end of it, I left it thrilled, satisfied, and dying for next season to come. Well, I mean, when the final line is, without any context, when the final is, well, that bitch's got to go. I'm like, oh, please let there be an episode next week, but there's not. You got to wait for a year. Anyway, Amy, you got all caught up on the boys. You had a chance to see the finale. Without specific details, what were your impressions of the episode?
Yeah, I loved it. I think I've been pretty honest on the show that I like this show. I don't know if I have the love for it that some people do. That said, I thought this was a pretty damn perfect season finale. Like pretty just, we've been talking a lot lately about shows with sort of funky pacing where you get up to that ending. I love Stranger Things. I'm a diehard Stranger Things fan. You want to compare finales? That one, the pacing just felt all over the map. Things were taking too long and then happening so quickly, and you felt a little lost at moment. This had that perfect finale. So much happened, and the pacing was so quick, but I never felt rushed. It just felt like everything got its moment, exactly as much time as it kind of needed to honor, giving each character sort of their moment and their thing and wrapping it up. And like I said, I thought the political stuff landed really, really well. And I thought it almost felt like there were two little, and here's what's coming next, and here's what's coming next. And I thought they both just landed beautifully and made me go, okay, I am hyped for season 4. I don't know where they're going with this, and I'm looking forward to seeing it.
And I got to say too, with the end of this season, Soldier Boy. I mean, look, I'm a Jensen Ackles fan because I'm a huge Supernatural guy. I'm a huge Supernatural guy. So I was kind of hoping, please be good, because I don't want to just like you being in it because it's you. The character was great, and he was great playing the character.
So good.
And when you got to that revelation at the end of the second to last episode, when he reveals to Homelander, I'm your dad, you're like, where's this going to go? And they actually play it. Well, again, without giving me any details, they play it, and different things that Soldier Boy has said at different points in the episode and in the season come back into play and get called back in ultimately confrontation with Homelander. And it was so well written. That's the thing. The writing on this show is so incredibly good. And as somebody who is quite often feeling kind of let down by the finales of a lot of Disney Plus shows and other shows too, man, it felt good to come into this and really see them stick the landing on the season.
Well, it felt like they wrote a show for the amount of show they had. With Disney
Yes,
Plus, sometimes it
yes.
feels like or even Stranger Things. It's like you had an hour and a half. How do I still feel like you didn't have enough time? You know, and it was so satisfying just to see one where it was like, yes, you perfectly timed every arc to hit that moment right when it needed to. It didn't feel like it caught you by surprise of the writers were going, oh, this is the finale, like it does on some stuff lately.
It crescendoed perfectly and so well done. Anyway, guys, once again, want to remind you, a little bit later this afternoon at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, that's 6 p.m. East Coast time, we are going to be having The Boys season finale open spoiler discussion with Rob Meyer Burnett. Make sure you guys are back here and check out that. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to main topic number 5. Amy, what is our 5th main topic today?
Our 5th main topic today comes from Alex. Hi, John, Rob, and Amy. We'll pass the love on to Rob for you. I just got out of seeing Thor Love and Thunder, and I enjoyed it. Good time for sure, but even though I liked it, is it just me, or does it sort of feel like the MCU has lost some steam in Phase 4? I can't really put my finger on why that is, but it just feels that way. I wanted to ask if you feel the same, and if so, what do you attribute that to? Is it the writing, the acting, the stories? Why is the MCU not firing on all cylinders right now?
All right, thanks a lot for saying that in, Alex. And look, let's preface all this by saying this. I'm a big fan of the MCU. Everybody knows that. I mean, I don't love everything they do, particularly with a number of their Disney Plus shows. But yeah, and I wasn't really thrilled with Black Widow, even though I liked it enough. And on top of that, in Phase 4, I think they have done some very interesting things. And I think in Phase 4, they have taken some very big swings. And there have definitely been things in Phase 4 that I have truly loved. Shang-Chi, Spider-Man No Way Home. I have WandaVision. I have loved Ms. Marvel up till now. We'll see whether it can stick to the landing like Boys 3 did. I have my doubts with the way it's been paced. But, you know, there have been a lot of things they've done very interesting, some big swings. I like Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I like Thor, Love and Thunder. I saw it for again last night. All that kind of stuff. But I have been vocal as a fan. I've been pretty vocal about the fact that I feel like, I agree with you. I feel like Phase 4 has lost some of the wind out of its sails. Phase 4 has not lived up to Phases 1, 2, or 3. And we're seeing some hiccups and some missteps that we're not used to seeing in the MCU. Does any of that mean the MCU is done? No, it just means I think they've hit a rough patch. And again, to bring it to professional sports, even the best team in the league will hit a stretch of 7 games where they won 4 and lost 3, which isn't great, but that happens and then they get back on track. I think the MCU can get back on track. But I do believe there have been some problems with Phase 4. So let's kind of codify it a little bit. Here, at least to me, and this is just from my perspective as an individual fan, maybe some of these will resonate with you, maybe they won't. But here are 5 things that to me are kind of the problems that Phase 4 at this point the MCU is struggling with and having. And for that, let's go jump on over to the Campea classroom here. All right. These are in no particular order, okay? Just letting you guys know that these are in no particular order, even though I'm saying numbers 1 through 5. I'm just throwing these out as 5 individual things. They don't necessarily mean one's more important than the other, okay? All right. With that, do we have the Campea classroom ready to go, Jonathan?
Coming up.
Okay, we're good. But I'll still start with number 1, and then he'll bring up when he's ready to go. Here's my what I think is the first problem with the MCU right now in Phase 4. Number 1 is the lack of an identity. When you go back to, say, the MCU in Phases 1 and 2, and even for the most part in Phase 3, while you have a bunch of movies that are quite different from each other, Ant-Man was about trying to save his family. It's more of a heist comedy kind of idea. When you get into Captain America, The Winter Soldier, it's a 70s political thriller, all that kind of, even though the movies were quite different, at their heart, there was an underlying DNA of an MCU movie, right? you could just tell by the tone of the film and the feel of the film, this is an MCU film. Even though they had different approaches, different subgenres, all that kind of stuff. To me, Phase 4 has not been that. They continue to do what they should do, which is, diversify in their subgenre, but that underlying DNA doesn't seem to be there anymore. Like, if you didn't know that Eternals, which I like, but if you didn't know Eternals was in the MCU, and if in the trailers for the movie, what's the name of the actress who plays like the prime Eternal? Not Cersei, the one who dies. I'm forgetting the name of the actress, but anyway.
Salma Hayek.
Yeah, Salma Hayek. Yes, thank you, Ray. If you didn't see like Salma Hayek in the trailer say, Thanos, if you didn't mention Thanos, then you would be forgiven. That you would never even know that was an MCU movie.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about references. I'm talking about in its very nature, there just doesn't seem to be that identity with them anymore. And again, that has nothing to do with playing around with different subgenres. They've done that before. They should continue to do that. But that underlying identity. And a part of the reason for that is going to be another one of the issues that we'll talk about in just a little bit. So for me, number one is lack of an identity. Number two is this: lack of a clear figurehead. When you get into the first three phases of the MCU, Tony Stark and Captain Steve Rogers, they are clearly the heads of the MCU. And even when you get into movies that don't have them, their presence is almost there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and when the people who kind of are not just the actors who represent the brand, but the characters that represent the brand, they're gone, and that's fine. But moving into phase 4, and now how many projects are we into phase 4? We're like, what, 10, 11, 12 projects? I mean, I've lost count of how many. We are well into phase 4. And even now, we thought coming into phase 4 that, what we would have emerge is kind of new figures. Who's kind of the head of the Avengers now? Who's kind of like the face of the MCU now? And they haven't done that.
If anything, it's maybe Doctor Strange, for me at least, but he's so much less present. And frankly, I think just a little bit weaker of a character.
Well, and on top of that, they put out this big thing where he says, well, Doctor Strange isn't even an Avenger. He'll work with the Avengers sometimes, but he's not even an Avenger. So he's kind of aloof and kind of set aside from that. So I feel the lack of a clear figureheads of the MCU at this point. Like early in phase 2 and going into phase 3, Kevin Feige kind of maybe hinted it might be Captain Marvel or it could be, but they never really did. Mm-hmm. So I think that's kind of one of the problems they have right now. Number 3 is this: over-reliance on fan service. An over-reliance on fan service. Now, listen, fan service is not in and of itself a bad thing. Fan service is like any other tool. It can be used well, like in Spider-Man No Way Home. There's a lot of fan service in Spider-Man No Way Home, but it's used to serve the narrative and it's integral to the story, and they make it work. So fan service can be a very good thing. In the earlier days of the MCU, like in phase 1, 2, and they got a little bit more into it in phase 3, but you didn't have that, we don't know what to do here, pop in an element of fan service. And we get more of that, I feel, in phase 4 than we ever did before. Oop, that was the wrong, let me undo that.
Can you fix that typo? It's going to drive me crazy.
That's what happens when you're doing it live. Okay. Here's another thing. Part 4, or issue 4 here.
Thank you.
Is oversaturation.
Yeah.
There's too much.
Yeah.
And I mentioned this before. Now you can say, well, if everything's great, it doesn't matter how much of it there is. Yes, but creatively you can only stretch yourself so thin. Kevin Feige, back in phases 1, 2, and 3, Kevin Feige had a direct hand and a controlling arm on everything that was happening in the MCU. As a result, there was a certain level of quality control that could always be there. Mm-hmm. We have found out in interviews, even though we knew this, there's just far too much for Kevin Feige to be directly involved in any real legitimate way. So he's got to now pick and choose which projects get more of his attention and which projects get less of his attention. As a result, not only are we being inundated with all these projects, but we're getting a lot more of them where Kevin Feige isn't as directly involved as he really should be. Because he just can't. He's one man. He's human. If you cut him, does he not bleed? Of course he does. If you wrong him, will he not avenge? So it's Kevin Feige. He's a human. He's a man. And we have, again, I've lost count of how many projects. We've had a lot of projects in phase 4 already. And we just went over the 14 or 15 more still coming just in this phase. And like, that's just too much. We're getting to be an oversaturation. And if you're Kevin Feige and his creative team and you had 15 great ideas and 4 movies coming out this year, well, that's, 4 or 5 great ideas you can give each movie. You got like 15 great ideas and 17 shows and movies coming out. You get less than 1 per show. It starts to dilute. It starts to dilute the quality, and I think that's been a problem. All right, problem number 5, an excess of new characters. Listen, the MCU needs new characters. It absolutely does. But let's go back to phase 1. We met Iron Man, got his whole movie, got to know him. Nick Fury comes in, introducing the concept of a connected universe. We go back, we go into Captain America, Captain America, the First Avenger. It's Captain America. The world knows Captain America. We go back there, we tell that story. Then we tell Thor. And in the midst of all that, then the Avengers come, and then the focus really does stay on those characters for a lot. Now, you can't stay just focused on those characters forever. Nobody's suggesting that you can. But it feels like we have introduced more new characters in the first half of phase 4 than we did in all of phases 1, 2, and 3 combined. Right? Like, and we're getting these new stories, and not just new stories, but new complications to the world of the MCU. So, okay, there's the time variance authority. All right, how does that differ from what the Ancient One told Stephen Strange in the first Doctor Strange, that there's already other dimensions and realities? Well, if those are, doesn't that contradict what they said with the time variance authority? And with that, I mean, with the little time jumping that Thanos does in Endgame, we got different, is that a new reality? Oh, and in Ms. Marvel, saying that there's other world that overlaps with our world. How does that get in? Not only are they introducing all these new characters, they're introducing all these new, some of which contradictory, physics to the nature of reality, time, and whatever that do not fit together, as some MCU apologists try to pretend. Oh, no, John, this all makes sense together. No, it really doesn't. Some of it is very contradictory. Yeah. They're going to have to retcon some of it. But they've done so much of that I feel like we as the audience have not had the time. Like, you know what I wish? And this isn't going to surprise anybody because I'm a big Shang-Chi fan. But I kind of wish that they made Shang-Chi and then had him ready to appear in something else, like within the next 14 months. Yeah. Maybe not Shang-Chi 2, but have him appear. Like, we've met these characters, now let us really get invested in these characters.
Make him and his mythology like part of the world in a more integrated way.
And by the way, Shang-Chi, that other universe that his mother's from, how does that fit into the time variance authority and multiverse of madness and all that kind of, like, so at any rate, when you look at it, I think the big main problems that we've been facing in the MCU in phase 4, which again, I have still enjoyed. I do not think the MCU has come off the rails. I do not think the MCU is doomed. I'm still very excited about all the upcoming projects, but I'm saying that as a serious fan of this stuff, I do believe phase 4 has been slowed down a bit, even in the midst of some very, very, very good things that they've done. And I think those problems are, number 1, a lack of an identity. Number 2, the lack of clear figureheads. Number 3, over-reliance on fan service. Number 4, oversaturation. And number 5, an excess of, bring up the classroom again. Not just an excess of new characters, an excess of new characters and ideas. Like with all the multiple dimensions, this and that, and then we're going to get Secret Wars. It's been so much without allowing the audience to just marinate in it, enjoy a couple of the new characters for a while. So I don't know. Those are my takes on it. Amy, when you look at phase 4, first of all, maybe you think phase 4 is the strongest phase of the MCU so far. You and I haven't really talked about that. But if you were to point out maybe a couple of the weaknesses in the MCU right now as they're represented in phase 4, what would you say they are?
I certainly don't think it's the strongest. I would always make an argument for phases 1, 2, and 3 kind of had that time to build. So let's say we put a couple of the best movies from phase 4 into phase 1, people would be like, this is amazing. So I do have a little edge of like, let's give them some time. Let's see where this is going. But I absolutely agree. Let me put it this way. I do my best to keep up on all this stuff and follow all the plot lines. If in phases 1, 2, and 3, I had an occasional like turn to my boyfriend and go, remind me who that is or remind me what that means, it was like a 30-second explanation. I was like, right. I remember. Okay, great. In phase 4, it feels like we got to pause for 5 minutes every time I miss a little something, or every time I'm going, I don't think I saw that series. What does that mean? You're right. It's just getting so complicated. It felt like in phase 1, 2, and 3, we had sort of these great standalone movies that worked as standalone movies. And there was a really nice slow build up to what ultimately came at the end of phase 3. Phase 4, there's a weird, frantic, like everything has to get introduced and tie in. And there's, again, I totally agree. It's just too many concepts. It's a little too complicated. And yeah, I just don't know if they have that. Either they don't have that star power yet or they're not using it. I'm not saying everyone in it isn't fantastic, but it's like, yeah, double down on a Shang-Chi. Could that be your guy that people love and identify with and want to see throughout all these movies the way you did with an Iron Man? But ultimately, to me, it's just becoming so much like, you could go see a Captain America movie and you weren't feeling lost that you maybe hadn't seen Iron Man yet.
Right.
Now I feel like if I haven't seen every series, every movie, kind of some familiarity with the comic books too, suddenly I feel like the average fan is feeling just a little bit overwhelmed, and we're getting that fan service and that, they're alluding that this is coming down the line. It's like, well, the average moviegoer cares way less about that and more about just, did you give me a great movie?
Yeah, now let's reflect, going back on that 0.5 thing again, about how complicated this is getting for the average fan.
Yeah.
Right? For the average fan, not the hardcore comic book fan, the average fan. Phase 1, 2, and 3 was one basic, simple thing. The most complicated thing was introducing Thor. Because that introduced the idea of Asgard, of Odin and all that kind of stuff. And
but even that was like, I know Norse mythology. Like these are figures people know. Now we're getting into sort of these very kind of spiritual, mythological worlds that I'm not really familiar with, that I don't really have
to Thor, right? Even in Thor, in a discussion with Jane, he says, what some call magic and some call science, we call one and the same. And so he brings our understanding of the universe back into simple focus, right? He says, it's not actually that complicated, Jane. Some call magic, some call science. We call one the same.
Yeah.
Right? So in phases 1, 2, and 3, the idea of our basic philosophical understanding of the nature of reality in the universe was still a very simple thing. There is a big alien bad guy out there who's collecting these stones, and that's dangerous to us.
And the stones became so nice and clear. Once they started introducing that, you saw one and you knew, like, okay, this is all tied into that.
Right. And they pasted and made it very simple. In phase 4 so far, we have, in our basic understanding of the nature of reality in the universe, Celestials, the Time Variance Authority, whatever the name of that other kingdom is in Shang-Chi. I keep forgetting the name of the other place.
Right.
We now have in Ms. Marvel that other universe that overlaps with theirs, where there's a time veil that apparently is not included with all this kind of stuff.
Right.
They try to sometimes say that the events of Loki and Carter, she's created all that, but that's not true, because they were talking about other realities in Doctor Strange even before that, even though it was just basically referenced and never really touched on to complicate things. So as we get more and more, you're right, we get more and more into phase 4. For the average fan, this is becoming incredibly convoluted.
I feel like I need a damn flow chart where it used to just be like, right, stone powerful, bad man wants stone, good guy trying to get stone. And now it's like, so in this universe, but this over, like, I feel like I need a whiteboard going into every
and then
movie.
The quantum realm. Like, how does the quantum realm play into that? We got Kang coming. Now, Kevin Feige did say that the overall direction of phase 4 is going to come more into focus in upcoming projects. Okay, great. Because here's the thing. I don't think one of the big problems of phase 4 is the fact that they haven't shown us what the overall story is yet. Like, what is
Yeah.
the Thanos of this? I don't think that's the problem. As long as you're making good individual movies, I think you're all good. But when individual movies start convoluting the way we're able to see other individual movies like this without any understanding, that does become a problem. So we'll see if that gets cleared up here. What do you think, Ray?
Let me just add just a little bit right here. I think we're on this phase 4 is like all the other phases. It's like a road, right? But this time we have a new vehicle like Disney Plus. This is the first time we're driving this sort of vehicle. So they don't know how to completely drive it well yet. We're going to have some bumps in the road. I'm the type of viewer that, will look out the window. Oh, cool. That's cool. And sometimes, but then, let's get to the end first. Let's get to where we're going, because if where we are at the end is awesome, a lot of the people that don't like what's going on are going to probably end up saying, "Oh, Phase 4 wasn't that bad."
Well, winning cures everything, right?
But I'm just
winning
saying,
cures everything,
right? But I'm just saying, like, there's been some hiccups along the way, like with any new thing that you're trying to use in your medium, which is Disney Plus.
Yeah.
I, for one thing, enjoy the new characters. If they don't make sense within the whole universe, just the introduction to these characters that I could never afford the comic book of. Because a lot of these characters, I would pass by in the store and be like, that's a cool comic book cover, but wouldn't have the time or the money when I was a kid to buy and actually check it out. Now I'm being introduced to these characters, and I'm like, oh, that person looked cooler on the cover than they are, for, them being introduced to me. But you know what? I get it. It's not all perfect, but I think we should all just like wait for it to just like unfold and if we don't like it, then
I agree with that to a degree, but meanwhile, as audiences, we are having to go and watch this movie, and sometimes people walking out dissatisfied.
Yeah.
And if you need another movie later to come out to make you enjoy a movie you're watching right now, then you're not doing your job.
Or if you absolutely have to, like I said, I've seen every movie and every Disney Plus show. I feel like the earlier phases did a great job. Like I said, if
They
you
did
know
a
the
brilliant job of that,
basics, you can hop in anywhere.
And again, it sounds like I am totally just bitching and moaning, complaining about, everything with the MCU sucks.
It was the topic.
I love the MCU. I do. I am bringing up my concerns because I do like it so much.
Yeah.
But anyway, guys, we've spent enough time on that. Question is for you. How do you feel about the MCU Phase 4 right now? Maybe to you, it's been the greatest phase they've done so far. They've done some great things in it, introduced some fantastic new characters. Maybe you're loving it. Maybe you're like me and you feel like it's lost a step or two. If so, what do you attribute that to? Whatever your thoughts are, fellow fans, jump down into the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. Okay, guys, with that down, let's move into our open comments and questions that you guys can send in. We're going to now open up our super chats. So if you guys have a thought, opinion, theory, question, whatever about any of the stuff that we just talked about or anything else, go ahead and start firing that in, and we'll get to those in just a minute. But you know who never misses a step, at least not when I'm doing my personal grooming? Our friends and other sponsor of today's episode. That was a much better segue.
That way, I was just thinking that.
Much better than yesterday.
No use of the word "gitch" or nothing.
No gitch there today until now.
Yeah, now.
Our good friends over at Manscaped. We want to take a second to thank the sponsor of today's video, Manscaped. Now, guys, you know I love Manscaped. You've heard me go on and on about the Lawnmower 4.0 and that body wash. I love it so much. And so we got to ask, guys, have you started your spring cleaning yet? The carpets need cleaning, the drapes need dusting, and your lawn needs mowing, gentlemen. And you guys know Manscaped is more than just one product. They have a whole lineup of products to help you guys feeling, smelling, and looking your best. And so Manscaped is proud to present to you the Performance Package 4.0, which is the only tool that you need to keep your boys looking, smelling, and feeling good this spring. Now, to start off with, you get the Lawnmower 4.0. Guys, we have talked about this. What is wrong with us? Why have we for so long been using these terrible tools that were never meant for cutting our hair down there? The razor clipper things on our electric razors. That's barbaric, guys. You need the Lawnmower 4.0. And then there's the Weed Whacker. You guys have heard our own Ray Ora talk about this thing. He loves using it to get that hair in your nose and the ear hair. And then they offer lots of other stuff like the Crop Preserver. It's an anti-chafing ball deodorant and moisturizer. Conditioner, the Crop Reviver. It's a spray-on toner for your balls. And of course, they've got the perfect grooming tool for your face with the Plow 2.0, the perfect razor for the finest shave on that face. So guys, get 20% off plus free shipping with the code CAMPEA. That's CAMPEA at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with the promo code Campea at manscaped.com. It's time to throw out your old hygiene habits and upgrade your life. And a big thank you to the friends over at Manscaped for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. All joking aside, I love it. Ray loves their products. Ray's used some of their stuff. I love their products. It's fantastic. Definitely. Aaron got Tom some of their products as well. Check it out, guys. You won't regret it. They really do make great quality stuff. All right. With that down, guys, let's now move over and start taking your live questions. We're going to start off with our channel members who have been sending in some stuff. So, Ray, what do some of our channel members have to say?
We got a couple flowing in right now. So, My Kid Banana says, hello, all. It's my birthday.
Happy birthday!
And I'm going to see Thor Love and Thunder tonight in
Nice.
IMAX. Can't wait. Trying to avoid the YouTube spoiler videos like I'm playing Dodgeville.
Yeah, I mean, here's the fun thing about it, though. The biggest spoilers to come out of Thor Love and Thunder are not really narrative spoilers. It's individual joke spoilers and post-credit. You don't want to get spoiled on the post-credit because it's pretty damn good. I love the post-credit scene. But anyway, happy birthday, man. I hope you have a good time watching the movie tonight.
Maurice Safring says, hey, all. I've been busy lately. I'm glad to be back. I miss you all when I can't watch every day.
Well, we miss you too. Thank you for being here and thank you for being a channel member. All right, what's next?
Okay, Jackmaster
Nord?
said, hey, John, I pulled the Ray Aura when I saw Minions. I missed most of the third act. LOL. By the way, I love Thor Love and Thunder. Also, the boys finale was bonkers.
I mean, the boys finale was bonkers. Here's the funny thing. Look, I told people when I saw Thor Love and Thunder, I said, listen, there are going to be people who don't like this film because it really depends on how your sense of humor works. If the sillier kind of humor works for you, you're going to like it. And if it doesn't, which is totally fine if it doesn't, then it won't. Real simple, no biggie. I honestly thought it would be more divided than it is because right now, the last I checked this morning, it's still sitting at 69%.
Sweet.
I know, it's right back to that 69 number. There it is, which means that well more than double the amount of critics like it than don't. And the audience rating was 85. I was expecting the audience rating to be somewhere around 70 or 65%, but it's at 85%. So again, it's
That
not
feels
gonna be for
about
everybody.
right.
Yeah.
Honestly,
I
I was expecting it to be sillier after hearing you talk about it. I think I have the controversial note of could have been sillier. Like, if anything, I loved like the heart and the plot and a lot of the stuff they did with it. And the jokes fell a little flat for me. So, which was, I thought I was going to have the reverse reaction, honestly, of like what I loved and what I had notes on.
Oh God, I loved Russell Crowe's Zeus so
he's
much.
hysterical. He's having so much fun.
I mean, I'm going to give a brief one-line spoiler away, but chill, baby cakes. Anne said that like 80 times. Just driving home in the car last night, and just out of nowhere, chill, baby cakes. I'm just like, all right. Anyway, all right, what's next?
Okay, Joel Rostin says, I'm convinced Tony Gilroy's Andor will show Disney the 6-episode events need serious restructuring. Devote time and effort to movies or procedurals.
I mean, I think that, and I'm hoping since finding out that She-Hulk is going to be 9 episodes, I hope that kind of sets a precedent for them as well, saying, see, when you give it a little bit more room to breathe, either do it as a movie and tighten it up to a good, solid narrative, or if you're going to do it as a series, make sure you put enough in there and to give it time to breathe.
Yeah.
One or the other. This 6-episode thing just does not work in general. All right, what's next?
Rise Jones says, while I agree that the MCU has a few problems at the moment, I'm willing to give it some leeway because I accept that they have been in a transition phase since Endgame.
Listen, I am also not about to abandon ship. I am, even though I have problems with the MCU Phase 4, I'm still enjoying it, and I'm absolutely not going anywhere.
But I think that's a great point that coming off of Endgame, what could you have pulled out that wouldn't have felt like a slug?
And COVID too.
Yeah.
We had those.
But I will say this, though. It's not like they've put out 2 projects since. We've had a lot of shows and movies
and
come out.
they did know it was coming.
And they did know it was coming to prepare
Yeah.
for it. So, but you're right. For an audience, we got to feel that transition period. All right, what's next?
Okay, Mr. Cool Breeze 69 says, JC and crew, how you doing? Game day.
Game day.
Going to see Thor 4 at 7 p.m. with my friends of 38 years. Amy Rocks come in on Wednesday from now on to host when Chris and Aaron come back. Oh,
You know
he
what?
wants to all.
Here's what I think.
ladies night on
lady
the
show.
the
Don't
John
laugh.
Campea Show.
I told this to Rob. I haven't brought it up with you or anybody, but I believe Erin is back on Wednesday. And there is a possibility Chris might be available on Wednesday. Maybe. She may not.
Just maybe.
Just maybe.
Just maybe. I already told Rob that if Chris is available and if Erin is back from her vacation, which I think she will be, I think I will give Chris my host's chair. And I won't be on the show that Wednesday. And it's just going to be Chris, Amy, and Aaron.
Estrogen City, baby. I love it.
It's the John Campea Show A-Force edition. I think we're
Robert
going
will
to
be where Jonathan is, and John will be where I am. And
No, I'll have Ann. I'll have
Vacation in Mexico.
you two have to wear wigs back there.
I'll have Ann come in to be in the live chat instead of Ray. Perfect. All right. Do we got anything else in there?
All right, we got two more. We got Zach Marcello. He says, saw Thor last night, and it was amazing in my opinion. I know it was cheesy, but I thought that really articulated how much Thor was trying to hide from his pain.
I
Yeah.
agree. Like some people, I had somebody write me this note that said, when you look at Thor, he's had such tragic loss and so much pain in his life and blah. It's absolutely ridiculous that he's so jovial and whatever. I'm like, then you don't get how different people deal with their pain sometimes.
Yeah.
Because sometimes that's exactly how he deals with it. And I like the fact that Thor, and we saw this in Ragnarok as well, Thor will swing back and forth between being blah, 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 I am Thor, blah, blah, to very serious and emotional and real, right? When the circumstance calls for it. And so I kind of like that. Again, I don't think Thor is a perfect movie. I don't think it's as good as Ragnarok. There are some issues with it, but I think overall it was quite entertaining, and I had a good time with it. Not everybody will feel the same, though, and that's cool. All right, what's
got
next?
two more. Okay, we got a milestone from one of our viewers, Tyler Pfeiffer. He says, just bought a new F-150. It's my first major purchase at 30, but I've been blessed to have had reliable hand-me-downs for the last several years. Feels good. Congratulations.
Dude, I remember the first time I bought my first, that was my first
Yeah.
car, not that my dad got for me or drove my mom's old car. But I remember getting that first one. That is, you never forget your first, man. It'll be special to you your whole life. That is awesome. And the F-150, that's a pretty good one to get.
Okay, one last one from Fredo.
Fredo!
Goggles. I watched Thor last night, guys, and I very much liked it. That post-credit scene, though. Also, The Boys was so good. I love Soldier Boy's one-liners.
Oh, God, Soldier Boy's one-liners are so good. So good. And he has a monologue in this episode where he's talking to somebody. He's talking at somebody. It's not a two-way conversation, really. And it's powerful, heartbreaking. It's just, I loved it. Loved this season of The Boys so much. All right, is that it?
Yep.
All right, let's get on over to the super chats you guys have been firing. And what do we got up first?
First off, we have Andy. My local AMC usually has about 25 minutes of trailers, including Nicole Kidman. Blessed. Shortest time for that was 17 to 18 minutes before the movie actually started. I came to Thor, Love and Thunder 11 minutes after showtime, and they were already going into the Kidman ad. I made it on time for the movie, but still, WTF AMC, how much of the Kidman ad did you get? Because that's important.
Here's the thing. Ann and I went to go see it last night. We walked into the theater 20 minutes after showtime. Movie started 32 minutes after showtime. Our showtime was 6 o'clock. The actual film, which starts with a shadow, the movie starts with a shadow being cast on the ground, didn't start till 6:32.
The one that drives me
that was
crazy
AMC?
now.
That was at the Tyler AMC.
Okay.
Yeah, Tyler Galleria.
The one that started driving me crazy, I went to Regal, which I think someone mentioned the Danny Trejo ad, which is a pale comparison of the, it just pales in comparison to the Kidman brilliance. But the one that drives me crazy is I went to like a 3:30, and 3:30 they like dim the lights and start playing more ads. It's like I can take 20, 30 minutes of trailers. That's part of the experience. But like
I noticed that.
to start getting more commercials then
That's
at
true.
show start time, that's what drives me up a wall.
See, and I think the amount of ads are destroying the movie-going experience. Like
Yeah.
a lot of people, we've talked about this before. There was a poll. This is in my documentary, Movie Trailers, A Love Story. But we talk about this. There was a poll done in Variety where they asked moviegoers, how many trailers do you think is appropriate? The vast majority of them said between 0 and 3 or 3 to 5. Over 20 minutes was 1%. 1%. And the thing about movie theaters is you got to be attracting people back to the theaters now. You attract people back to the theaters with giving them a quality, great experience. And when you tell people showtime's at 7, and people are getting babysitters and they're driving out there and they're buying their popcorn and they're paying for their tickets, and then the movie doesn't start till a half hour after you say showtime starts, that takes away from the experience. So fuck you.
But I will say there's a funny, because I feel like this comment is also saying it's like that's what you get trained to. And then if they're cutting those, you're going, wait, what? I'm so used to, because honestly, it's one of the first time in years I've been early for a movie. And that's just because I, went straight from here and grabbed lunch and whatever. But like normally I'm like, no, we got 20 minutes. It's fine.
Because I talked about this about a month or two ago. It's like people will say, well, then John, just go 25 minutes late. Great. But then we did, and we walked out, and we had missed the first 5 minutes of the movie. Mm-hmm. So it's like they do that every once in a while, say, see, guys, you better be here at the start of showtime because you never know when the movie's going to start. Again, F you.
Yeah.
All right, what's
when
next?
I saw Top Gun twice at AMC, it was about 15 minutes, and that's including Tom Cruise's little spiel.
That's
so it's
acceptable.
Not consistent. That's the problem. It's not consistent because I think I have 30 minutes, and it's 15 minutes. So.
Yep. All right, what's next?
King Tastic said, saw Love and Thornder.
Thornder.
Oh, we totally missed it that yesterday was Thursday.
Thursday, yep.
Yeah.
Ann was saying that all day.
Saw Love and Thornder last night. I liked it. I didn't know how much I needed Mighty Thor in my life until now. Gore needed more screen time, and I am more confused at the cosmology of the MCU. BOTF.
Yeah, look, the one thing, I like the movie. The one thing Thor Love and Thunder does not bring the MCU into greiter focus.
No.
Now, there is no
But it
more
felt a little more standalone, which I think is part of why it felt
Yes.
like a stronger movie.
I agree with you there. Could have used a little bit more gore. Yes. But in a world right now where we're getting 2 hour and 45 minute, 3 hour movies, I kind of like the tighter runtime a little bit.
I liked it a lot.
On this, I didn't really feel like it was missing it. Like, could I have used more gore? Sure. Did the story need more? No. So, but there is that too. Yeah, I really like Christian Bale in that role.
I thought her as Mighty Thor was great. If I got that wish, I'd get those arms. God damn.
Yeah. Oh God, she looked good in this.
She looks so good.
All right, what's next?
Jay said most annoying TV movie tropes. Go.
Look, I'll just say this quick. My biggest, most annoying movie trope, besides the fact that sex is never messy and all this kind of stuff, the biggest one I've always had and I've always said is this. Besides the one where if your hero is in love with somebody and that somebody is with another person, that other person is an asshole every time, right? Almost every time. But the biggest one I've always said is meet me at midnight at Death Cliff, where this happens in every TV show and movie. They're trying to solve a mystery. The hero gets a phone call and the other character, let's call them Dr. X. And Dr. X says, I figured out who did the murder. And the hero says, who? And they always say, not on the phone. Meet me at midnight at Death Cliff. Well, Dr. X is going to die before the hero meets him. I've seen it 1,000 times. Yeah. It is my most frustrated one. All right, what's next?
Cody Hunt says, remember when a woman sued Amazon for misleading users about whether they own purchased content? That case was dismissed citing license restrictions.
Yeah, because and if you go into the user agreements, it is pretty clearly laid out about what that is and what it is not. When you buy the digital things, you do not own those zeros and ones. You don't own them, but you have a license in perpetuity. And licenses can be transferred, like we were talking about with PlayStation. If PlayStation says, hey, these movies, hey, German consumer, if you bought this Studio Canal movie and it is now still available to you, but over here, that's because a license is transferable. So it would be fine if that's what happens, but we'll have to keep our eyes on that. All right, what's next?
Suthius said,
I don't know why.
Yeah, don't know why I didn't see this before, but that purplish realm that Kamala spun into when she first activated the bangle was actually the partition.
I don't get it.
No.
Sorry, I'm
just
sure
read
there's
'em,
something
John.
really deep there that's going right over my head. Sorry about
Rob
that, man.
would, you probably.
Rob would probably know. All right, what's next?
Jerome said, opinion on Will in Stranger Things season 4?
Love the character. Little bit of the weaker performance though than I've seen.
Oh, really? I thought,
Bowl haircut boy.
yeah. I thought he was actually one of the stronger actors this season.
I thought he was one of the stronger characters. I didn't know if I thought he was one of the stronger.
Oh,
actors, but you did?
interesting. Yeah, and maybe it's partly just that we haven't seen a ton of him yet. Like, it feels like he always gets a little shoved to the side. I thought a couple of those scenes, I was going, damn, we need more of this kid. Because I think it's always interesting on shows like that where you cast young actors, and as they grow up, you kind of start to see, like, luckily all those kids are good and charming, but you start to see, like, oh, that kid can act, and that kid's doing a good job.
Because to me, on paper, one of the best scenes of the season was between Will and his older brother in the pizza shop when the brother's like saying, hey, you can come to me for like
That was lovely.
On paper, that's one of the best
Yeah.
scenes of the thing. I just thought maybe it could have been acted a little bit better.
Well,
but-
I don't love Jonathan, just that performance.
yeah, maybe that was one of the slightly weaker ones too.
But I liked him overall. I understand people's complaints with how kind of weird and coy they're playing the, like, is he in love with Mike? Like, what are they doing here? But I think given the time period and given the age of that character, like, they are leading to something there. And overall, I liked what they were doing.
Again, like I said, the character,
Yeah.
as it's written, really like it. I just thought maybe the performance didn't do justice to what is written. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe
also,
everybody
that
else loved
kid's
it.
voice dropped like 3 octaves,
Yes.
which is just
Like,
always
whoa.
hilarious.
And grew
with
like
kid
4
actors.
inches.
Yep.
Yeah,
But
the
they're like
haircut-
put the same haircut on him. No one will know.
Yeah, the haircut does not match the
Woof,
body anymore.
yeah.
Does not match the body anymore. All right, what's next?
Kingtastic said, oversaturation is my biggest problem in the MCU. Not problems in just tone, but even in production. The MCU is worth more than it's ever been, but the production quality is lesser than...
It's up here a bit.
Is that it?
I
Yeah.
think,
Previous phases. The world just doesn't feel like it fits together anymore. It also feels like there's a lack of heart and passion and creativity in each individual project, but that's just me.
And that's part of that, I think, is manifested in only part, but part of that is manifested in the Disney Plus shows. They just do not have the budget that they do. And again, I always hear from Eric, but John, the TV show had this amount of budget that's equal to the budget of this movie. Yeah. But when you break it down then into the amount of budget per hour,
Yeah.
it ends up being a third of what the movies get per hour to put it on the screen. Therefore, the production quality comes down. And that makes what's happening in the DC or in the MCU on Disney Plus feel out of step with what we're getting on the big screen.
Yeah.
And I don't know really what the best way is to correct that. One of the big exceptions to that has been WandaVision, but yeah. All right, what's next?
Luke Stockton says, just wanted to give a big shout out to Ray. Dude, you do amazing on the show graphics, especially after shows, The Boys, Miss Marvel, etc. Keep it up, bro. We the fans love it so much. Hashtag save Ray at all costs.
Aw, you're welcome. But you know what? A lot of the stuff that puts the graphics on the show is Jonathan right here. So we're like a tag team right here. So, just want to give credit to Jonathan.
Listen,
too.
I can say the best thing for me about moving out of the garage into the new studio is the fact that we can have Jonathan and Ray looking after all the super chats and all that kind of stuff and all the work he does pre-show with the graphics and all that kind of stuff, and Jonathan to actually run the show.
Yep.
You guys have no idea how many moving pieces there are here to run. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different camera shots. 7 different camera shots, multiple graphical packages for each and every single one of the topics, live feeds coming in from super chats and all that kind of stuff, 5 microphones and audio sources, 5 different graphic web pages that have to be pulled in from the web to show and demonstrate. I mean, it's just, there's a lot of moving pieces. And the fact that we have Ray and Jonathan back
Right.
there making all this happen, and I can just sit up here now and focus on the show
Yep.
has
Which-
been
Yeah.
great.
Which is better. I always feel like the main people that are on the show shouldn't be doing the background stuff. It's just because of the work and then your moods, you got to be.
And your focus and your attention
You don't want to be run down by the time you start the show. That's why me and Jonathan are here, or my security guard on Minority Island is here. And sometimes we're like, hey guys, hey. It's better that that's over here and not up front in the spotlight.
Yeah.
Have
So
all these like levers and things I'm pushing and steam going off.
All right, what's next?
Pat Sunwritten said, won't Disney sue this fan edit guy for posting their entire IP on his site?
I
good
don't
question,
think
too.
they won't sue. What they might do is issue a cease and desist.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, they're totally within their rights to do. Completely within their rights to do. And they may very well do it. And if they do, they're not wrong to do so. Or they might just let it go. I mean, either way, you know what? They probably won't let it go, because if they let it go and then somebody else does it, then they'll say, well, you didn't make them take it down. So they might have, just to cover their asses, they might have to legally
Wait.
make them take it down. But yeah.
So were the prequel fan edits taken down too?
Yeah, I believe you can't. I believe whenever they popped up somewhere, I think they got taken down. Yeah,
They're
I don't
gone now
think
too,
so.
then.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think so. All right, what's next?
Suthia said, after the simplicity of phases 1 through 3, I was hoping phase 4 would get bonkers and crazy. It has not disappointed. Give me more concepts and ideas so my brain can simmer, so I can ask more questions. Love it.
I mean, that's great, but I think when you start doing so much that I think maybe start running the risk of alienating the average fan.
My brain's simmering just trying to get through a day. I can't add more to that.
Yeah, so
I love that for you, though.
But hey, that's the great thing about this stuff, Suthius, is that if it's working for you and it's hitting your sensibilities, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. It may not be doing that for everybody, but if it is for you, that is awesome. That's the great thing about movies, man. All right, what's next?
Andy said, autocorrect screwed me over yesterday. Meant to say Luther from Umbrella Academy is the personification of, oh my God, what are you doing, step bro?
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I see that.
I'm not gonna ask because I just don't want to know.
there is actually quite a disturbing scene. I think it's episode 4 or 5 between Luther and I forget the one sister's name. Now the only sister, but the one sister's name I forget. There's actually something pretty disturbing that happens that she does to him, and it, like, Ann and I actually, after the show's done, we actually talked about it a lot. So yeah, it can be like that. All right, anyway, what's next?
Thanks, I hate it. Anubis Genocide said, oh my God, that season finale of The Boys and that final scene, I don't think I've ever felt so scared for the future of a fictional universe. And furthermore, I am certain of all the fiction universes out there, The Boys is the least I'd want to live in. Purely happy being an outside observer.
Here's the
That's
funny
a good
thing.
point.
You kind of are living in that universe.
Yeah.
See, the scariest thing about
Yeah.
that universe is a lot of the people that live in it. And it's kind of very reflective of the world that we kind of live in. But at any rate, that's as far as a political commentary as I'm going to make. All right, what's next?
Tim Platt said, I think one of my local AMCs just set a record. 2 trailers and no Kidman spot before Thor. I would demand my money back.
No, I would go and pay them a second admission price for that. I mean, that is great. You go up, when that happens, no joke. When that happens, find the manager of the theater and say, thank you for that. Like make sure you communicate. Yeah, make sure you communicate to the managers in the theaters. Like, you know what? You told me the movie started at 3, started pretty close to 3. I got out of here when I thought I was going to get out of here. Thank you. I didn't pay you money so I can come here and watch half-hour commercials. I paid you money so I can come here and watch a movie. And if they do something right, make sure you go. Don't just grab the managers when you're mad about something. When something really good happens, grab a manager and say, hey, so I want to say that this happened, gave me a good experience. Thank you for that. That goes a long way.
Fully agree, but I would grab a manager to tell them I didn't even know if heartbreak felt good in a place like this.
How am I supposed to know? All right, what's next?
The Robo producer said, John, you are missing that Phase 4 has one of the biggest connective threads ever. Mephisto, hashtag Phase 4 strong.
Well, that's just because everybody doesn't realize he's been there the whole time. It's been Mephisto all along. That's coming.
Ooh,
All right.
we could just change the song.
Or, yeah, just change the song. All right, what's next?
Uladan said, this week, Good Canadian Kids Studio Stray Dog released their Dragon Ball Tale 11-minute fan anime. It's on YouTube and done really well. I recommend it.
I've never heard of either of those things. I've never heard of those Good Canadian Kids, but good on them for being Canadian kids. Certainly haven't heard of the fan edit. So there's that, but thank you for making people aware of it.
And I
All right,
will watch that after.
All right, what's next?
Seconds from Disaster said, that opening scene of The Boys finale really connected for me. Everything Homelander said to Ryan are my own thoughts. I grew up without a dad, and now I'm a father of 2. I felt everything he said.
Again, I said this at the beginning, one of the great things about the show, there's no pure black and no pure white.
Yeah.
And there are moments as despicable as Homelander is, that he does. You know what it reminds me of? We as human beings, and maybe this is why it's so weird for us, because we as human beings like to think in black and white.
Mm-hmm.
I remember there was a big uproar in the UK once because there were these found home videos of Adolf Hitler playing with his children. And in some ways, what we would traditionally think of being a good dad,
Yeah.
right? But they wanted that footage banned because we don't want to see evil that has multiple dimensions,
Well,
right?
and on some level, doesn't it make it so much scarier that someone isn't just a monster?
Yes.
It's like someone's dad is capable of this. A human being is capable of this.
Because it creates this false impression that if something is evil, it is evil in every single way. So if we see something that's good, then that can't possibly be evil, right? And I think that's a tough thing for us as humanity. We like to just paint things one way or the other, make things, as soon as it gets into gray, we get uncomfortable, because if we know somebody who can have a good quality, that they could have a lot of evil underneath that makes us very uncomfortable. And that's something about Homelander too. We see, it makes it even more uncomfortable that we see Homelander in these moments where he can elicit empathy.
Oh,
out
it
of
made
us.
me so, I was like, I don't want to kind of like this guy after everything
No,
we've been through.
right?
But good on the show for going for that, for not just making him, a monster in every single capacity.
And then it made clear that when it showed those moments where you could feel empathy for him, it reminds us, oh no, he is still the supreme dick of this universe, that they really should find a way to kill.
Yeah.
But anyway, all right, what's next?
Tyler Pfeiffer says, Chris Hartwell did a tremendous Hobbit fan edit. And thank you for the 1999.
Oh, it was nice. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for supporting us on that level, man. I'm not familiar with that.
No, me neither.
Unfortunately, I'd have to look into that. The Hobbit series is interesting to me. I will go against the grain. I quite liked the first Hobbit movie. I did, like, especially when they're the whole scene when they arrive at Bilbo's house. Like, you got to remember, The Hobbit to me was my favorite book growing up,
Right.
and that scene. That's what Bilbo Baggins hates. Like that whole scene that they did in there, it was like it was coming to life for me. And then they sang the song "The Doors Over the Fire," the misty mountains call. Like I'm watching this and I'm like loving it. There was a lot about the first Hobbit movie that I liked. You could really feel it as you moved on after that, though.
Definitely one that could do with a good edit. So I could
mean,
see that being
remember,
great.
that was supposed to be 2 films.
Yeah.
It was at Comic-Con that they came out and said, hey, everybody, the 2 Hobbit films, we're going to make it 3. It's like, let me get this straight. The Hobbit, which is half the size of any one of the 3 Lord of the Rings books, is going to be 3 movies on its own.
Yeah.
And boy, could you feel that. Boy, could you feel that. Anyway, all right, what's next?
Bobby Jackson said, I think we don't have a good barometer of how the general audience feels unless you count ratings and box office. And if that's the case, they seem to still be on board. Here's
my general barometer of film fans. I get about 1,000 messages, without exaggeration or hyperbole. I get around 1,000 messages a day. I'm not going to say I am the barometer of the average film fan, but I think more than most people, I have a pretty good gauge on the average film fan, just because I hear from so many of them every day. And yeah. I mean, you can have great box office for terrible movies. You can have terrible box office for great movies. Look, the best movie of the year is Everything Everywhere All at Once. It hasn't made that much money. I mean, it set a record for A24, but in comparison, it didn't make a lot of money. Does that mean, that the audience didn't like it? No, the audience loves it for those who went to go see it. So it really depends. It's a more complicated question than even I'm representing it. So there's that.
Well, because even now, as we've kind of talked, as a Marvel fan, you're scared to miss stuff. Even if you're going, I don't think this is going to be great. It's like, if I don't go see this, I'm going to go watch the next series. I'm going to be like, who's that? I don't.
All right, what's next?
My Comic Planet said, the worry I have about the Lord of the Rings series is what many criticized about the Hobbit movies, that hyper-real, ultra-clear look of the 48 frames per second image. It's like that motion setting you turn off on your TV.
Here, first of all, I hate that look.
Yeah.
I do. But once you start watching something in that look, and I never like it. I never like it.
I always feel like I'm watching a bad soap opera.
Yeah, it does. It feels like that. But once I'm watching it, a few minutes into it, my brain adjusts like, hey, this is just what this looks like. Fine. Is the story good?
Right.
That's the main thing to me, right? Now, I will always advocate against that. I want my movies in 24p. That's how I want my movies. But that being said, yeah, I don't like that look when it's there, but we're not primates. I mean, we know, well, I mean, to agree. But you know what I'm saying? Our minds adjust to it. It's like, this is what it looks like. And then we just lose ourselves in the story if the story's good. So that's what they got to hit, man. That's totally what they got to hit. All right.
Is that something I missed? So it's shot in high frame rate? This series?
I don't know. No, and that's the other thing. I have not heard that this
it
series
doesn't
is
look
going to be
like
shot that way.
The trailers look cinematic. They don't look like high frame rate.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
it
it's
didn't
not
look- it
Peter
looked
Jackson.
good to
It's not
me.
Peter Jackson doing it.
Right.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Chris Leonardo, thank you for the $20 super chat. Chris?
Thank you, Chris.
Hi, John and team. Love the show. Saw Love and Thunder last night on Dolby, and while not perfect, I cried laughing in at least 3 scenes. Rented a theater to take my family and friends to see it tomorrow. Thank you for the show.
I listen.
Fun.
I am with you. It is not a perfect movie. I don't think it's as good as Ragnarok.
Yeah.
I don't have it ranked super high in my best films of the year list or anything, but I would be lying to you if I didn't tell you that I needed to gasp for air on a number of times that I was laughing so hard.
I wish I was in I went to, like I said, a 3:30 yesterday. My theater was just dead quiet, and I just don't feel like it was a level of humor where, like, I was going to be the only person, like,
I
screaming,
was at
laughing.
a 6 o'clock screening, and our theater was losing
I was
it.
really sad how quiet it was in my theater. I feel like if I'd even been with a friend or with I could have gotten the laughter going a bit, but for me, it never quite took off.
It's funny how different theaters I remember, like, let's bring up Moulin Rouge again. Saw Moulin Rouge when it first came out in LA. People were applauding after each musical number. Took my cousin, and we were down in Orange County. Silent theater.
Now,
Silent.
every theater will have its own
They didn't
makeup,
treat it
right?
like
Yeah.
it was like a play or like a musical. They just were like, well, this is cool, but whatever.
All right, what's next?
Fry Minis said, "Can we have Kevin Smith as a guest host one day?"
Okay, yeah, okay. Let me address this question.
Yes. Short answer, yes.
It is so. I remember I would get. Now you guys know me, right? Like 2 of my top 3 favorite comic book. I put this up on Twitter today. Actually, let me bring this up quick. Here's what I put up on Twitter. On Twitter today, I wrote, basically what my favorite comic book on-screen entertainment has been this year. Okay. Number 1, The Batman. Number 2, The Boys Season 3. Number 3, Peacemaker. Number 4, Ms. Marvel, although I got to watch the finale. Number 5, Thor Love and Thunder. Number 6, Doctor Strange 2. Number 7, Moon Knight. And number 8, Morbius. I don't include Umbrella Academy because I'm only halfway through that. I have only, I think, ever negatively reviewed 2 DC movies out of all of them. Harley Quinn and, or was that it? Yeah, I think Harley Quinn was and Wonder Woman 2. Those are the only DC movies I've ever given negative reviews to. All the rest of them positive. But I would have people write to me and say, John, you clearly hate, because, I've had Kevin Feige on my shows. I've had James Gunn. I've had Chris Pratt. I've had Sebastian Stan. I've had the Russo brothers, whatever, right? People say, well, John, you clearly hate DC because you never bring in Henry Cavill. And you clearly hate DC because you never bring in Ben Affleck. It's like, motherfucker, do you not think for 1 second I would give my right baby toe to not have Henry Cavill come into my studio or to have Ben? Like, listen, you got to understand something. I have a C-level successful YouTube channel, C-level at best. Be very clear. I am a fucking nobody. I do not just get to pick who I jump on the phone with and say, yo, Ryan Gosling, get your ass down here and be on my show. Yo, Kevin Smith, come on down. It's not up to me. It's not up to me to just say, hey, you come down and be on my show. I don't have that kind of clout. As much as maybe I'd like to pretend that I do or think that I do, I simply don't have that kind of clout. I am a Canadian fucking nobody down here renting some space to turn on some lights and be on
This
YouTube.
whole time, man, you should have just told me.
You should have kept that job with Apple, man. Yeah, so if you want Kevin Smith on this show, don't write to me. Write to Kevin Smith. I would love to have him on if you'd like to come down. All right, what's next?
Andy said, I already got my hero-gasm this year when I saw Betty letting her boyfriend Archie smash her best friend Veronica while she watches literally 2 feet away. Now, I will say, I read a lot of Archie comics, and I feel like that might have been in there. I don't remember exactly.
It's true to canon.
Heart a mouthful of fluid. I remember reading that in the comic strip.
Oh, no, that was my fan fiction I wrote when I was 13. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good friend. It's like, jeez.
That love triangle did get weird, though, for how, like, Archie comics are such a weird, like, wholesome, like, the fact that Riverdale became this, but the love triangle was always weird, so.
Oh, yeah, and where Jughead would fit into that, who knows? All right, what's next?
Jughead, I believe, is canonically asexual, actually.
Really?
In the comics, yeah.
Did not know that.
Any hoodles. Zach Taylor with the 1999 super chat. Thank you, Zach.
Thank you, Zach.
Watched a clip from The Office on Facebook, and it was the episode when Stanley was cheating on his wife. One of the young interns is the guy who played the twins in the Batman. So fun when that stuff happens.
Oh gosh, I do love that stuff when I go back and watch like a Parks and Rec episode. It's like that person was in.
Yeah.
You know, one of the big one was going back to season 1 of The Office. Lois Lane. Amy Adams. When like almost
that's
like,
right. Yeah.
I totally forgot Amy Adams was in this. Like,
Yeah.
It's so great. I love that kind of stuff. Anyway, man, yes, and keep your eyes open. We have been delayed in getting things rolling on it, but we are going to do our season 1 of The Office Virgin here. In the next couple of weeks, we're going to get rolling on that. We've been delayed a few times. We wanted to have it up last month, but it's coming. I cannot wait to revisit that season. All right, what's next?
Zelda Master 702 said, is the sudden removal of content, particularly content labeled as original on HBO Max, indicative of the fact that the HBO Max Discovery Plus merger and rebranding is imminent?
I have no idea because I'm not aware of the circumstance.
Yeah.
Can you bring that up again for a second, Jonathan? I want to take a look. Is the sudden removal of content, particularly content labeled as original, on HBO Max indicative of... Yeah, I'm not aware of what content we're talking about. Like, with a lot of streaming services, they'll license content to be on their service, but it's usually finite in time. That's why you have things coming and going from Netflix all the time. So I'm not aware of the particulars in this, so I can't comment on it, unfortunately. Maybe if you guys watching live, if you know some of the particulars, jump into the live chat right now and let them know what you think about that. All right, what's next?
My Comic Planet said, John, which do you prefer? Kenneth Branagh's version of Thor or Taika Waititi's version?
Oh, they're so different.
Yeah.
Like, the Kenneth Branagh version of Thor, again, to me, is the second most underrated comic book film of all time, only behind Man of Steel. It is a breathtakingly beautiful study of a father and his sons. And I thought it was humorous, but also beautiful. But I also love that Thor is a character who did not stagnate. Thor is a character that has evolved and changed. And by the time we get into Taika Waititi's iteration of him, it was a character that needed an evolution. That doesn't mean he wasn't great before. It's just you can't always stay the same. And if we get 4 more Thor movies, Thor should be a little different by the time we get to Thor 7 or Thor 8, if that happens, right? They both bring such totally... One's very Shakespearean, one is more lighthearted. I can't say that I prefer one or the other. I love them both on their very different, unique platforms. All right, what's next?
Taika Waititi by a mile for me, but that's just...
I love Taika's Thor.
Fisted by Khonshu said, even pimple-faced Kyle digging through your purse feels good in a place like this. Nicole
good.
Kidman.
Oh, by the way, this is listen, I don't mean this as a spoiler, but I'm afraid you're going to miss it because I missed it the first time I watched Thor Love and Thunder. And this isn't a narrative thing. But King Valkyrie, maybe you know so you didn't, while they're in New Asgard, something's happening and there's a lot going on and she's talking to you what you think is an assistant. And she says, Daryl, get me this, this, and this. And I totally missed it the first time I watched the movie. That guy that she says, Daryl, go get me this, this, and this, is Daryl from the short films of Thor and his roommate Daryl.
Oh,
Did
wow.
you ever see those?
No,
you got to see them.
That sounds hysterical.
They have these YouTube short films of Chris Evans as Thor, but it's like what's happening in between movies. And he moved into an apartment and he had a roommate, Daryl. And Daryl was his roommate, and obviously Thor is a terrible roommate. And then they did another one. That's
I feel like I've seen like clips of these going around.
These
yeah.
are amazing. So then
That's
they did a
hysterical.
second one, and then they did another one where instead of Thor is Daryl's roommate, Grandmaster Jeff Goldblum is his roommate, right? And I totally missed it the first time watching the movie, so I bring it because I want you to see. But as King Valkyrie is shouting out orders to Daryl, I finally like, oh my God, that's Daryl from the short films.
Incredible.
It's just a little tie-in, but it's beautiful and brilliant. Keep your guys' eyes open for that. All right, what's next?
Ten Ruza says, guys, love you. Thoughts on the Vince McMahon story that the
Wall Street Journal?
Yep. Broke today. I think he is done with WWE after this. Love to Japan and the Abe family.
I didn't read the story. I did hear that apparently came out that Vince McMahon paid $12 million in hush money over the years to 4 different women to keep quiet.
It's never a great sign.
Not a good sign. But again, I know everybody on YouTube loves to spout opinions about something they don't actually know anything about. I don't really know what's going on. I didn't read the article. I didn't read the report, so I can't give a perspective on it or an opinion on it. Obviously, it's pretty troubling, the things you're hearing, but I'll have to go and read the article.
And let the record show, today a man on the internet said, I don't have the information to have an opinion. The first time that's ever happened online.
Oh, my God.
We did it. We did it,
There
everyone.
it goes. It has to happen. All right, what's next?
Up next we got the People's Champ 2007 said the MCU has no leads and that's the problem. Yeah.
Well, I don't know that they have no leads.
They're not using anybody like a lead though.
Yeah,
yet.
that's like I said, it's one of the points is that there's no clear who's the captain right now. Like and it doesn't have to just be one. Who are the 1 or 2 kind of lead things? But we're just jumping from random character to random character, random character, random character, random character, and then offering different understandings of the universe, different understandings, and it's just a little bit messy. They got to bring it into focus.
Do you think, and I'm going to make history now too by saying I don't know enough to know if I'm totally off base with this, but do you think there was a plan where T'Challa would have been a bit more of that cornerstone? Is that maybe part of why we're feeling that missing right now?
I do. I don't know that he would have ever been the singular head figure, but I think he was going to play a part of that.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
And that's really unfortunate. Yeah. All right, what's next?
The antagonistic anonymous said, this is my first time submitting a super chat rather than a main topic. LOL.
Oh.
Congrats. Want to say, John and crew, you guys run an absolutely phenomenal show. Scroll up, there's more compliments. Also just watched making of DS2 on Disney Plus. John Krasinski is nowhere to be seen. Every single Illuminati member is shown except him. Why is he being hidden in every single behind the scenes image? Extremely odd.
Well, first of all, antagonistic anonymous, thank you so much for that. Thank you for sending that in. We appreciate the kind words, man. You know what? I remember watching when they did the behind the scenes thing about WandaVision. Mm-hmm. They very clearly omitted talking about at all the Quicksilver thing. The fact that they brought in a Quicksilver, who was the actor in the X-Men universe, and it didn't turn out to be Quicksilver, which I told everybody from the beginning was the case. Nobody believed me. But still, they did this whole making of thing talking about all the episodes and when we did this, and they never once mentioned that. I'm like, how do you... The one thing people want to hear an explanation about is the one thing you don't address. We talked about this before, the John Krasinski thing. There's been a lot of promo images and stuff like that sent out since Doctor Strange with all the Illuminati members, except for John Krasinski. I am not saying this is what's going to happen. I have no insider information whatsoever. This is all pure speculation. But I speculate this is all leading up to either Comic-Con or D23, where John Krasinski will be announced as the star and director of the upcoming Fantastic Four.
That makes sense to me.
That, again, pure speculation. Nobody say it's being reported.
No, I'm going to double down. It's news now.
It's news. Yeah, so just my thoughts on that. All right, what's next?
I am awesome. 418 said, you think Ray is bad with Chipotle? I brought in a whole pizza for me and my nephew when we watched Sonic 2. Somehow that feels less offensive to me.
Yeah, because you're all about it.
I have seen that happen. I've seen people walk in with a pizza box.
Yeah.
I have no idea how they got that
I
in.
was saying during the break, I think I might take the cake the time I thought, I'll bring a nice healthy snack, and pulled out my bag of baby carrots and about 2 bites in went, this is too crunchy.
Yeah, this is too much.
The thing about the pizza, though, is that if you go to AMC, they actually offer pizza.
Yeah,
So
pizza
that's the
feels
thing.
like an
That's where-
appropriate movie snack in a way. Chipotle, because I've never bit into a Chipotle burrito and had it not kind of go everywhere, I think might be part of my complaint.
All right, what's next?
Tim Platt said, Amy appreciation post. Thank you so much. You're fantastic. John, we need a show with her, Chris, and Aaron. Thank you, Tim.
I do have it in the plans. So I'm going to see if I can pull that episode together. I think it would be a lot of fun. All right, what's next?
I'd be thrilled. My Comic Planet said, Candace Patton just revealed mistreatment on the set of The Flash, including lack of social media protocols in place to protect her from abuse. A question I have is, what are social media protocols?
Listen, not that I am not sympathetic,
Yeah.
but the only way you can be protected from social media abuse
It's not beyond it.
is not be on social media.
Yeah.
And that's unfair, and that's bullshit. And the fucking assholes that tend to live and die by the attention trolling they do online, and listen, I think a law should be passed that you should not be allowed to be anonymous online. I think if you're going to be on Twitter, you have to have your full name. If you want to say something publicly, then you should be willing to have your name attached to it. But
Yeah.
the anonymity of online saying, Muffmaster615 says blah, blah, blah.
Oh, he has good takes, though.
F you, coward. Coward. But the reality is, while all that is true, and it is a fundamentally flawed system, Warner Brothers can't protect you from assholes saying asshole things online.
But were there specific... I'm not clear either what a social media protocol would be, even.
Yeah, I just don't, I'm not quite sure
Yeah.
what that means. I mean, maybe if I read the article, I would have a better understanding about what kind of structure she's talking about. But on its surface, the idea of they need to protect me from online abuse, I don't know what they can do other than support you, which I hope they did, but who knows? All right, what's next?
Luke Stockton says, what a week for superhero fans. Ms. Marvel Episode 5, Thor Love and Thunder, watched last night and liked it. And The Boys finale. Oh my God, so good. I feel like is the Thor Love and Thunder, because that's what I walked out thinking. I really liked this. I didn't love it.
Yeah, I did not love it. There
Yeah.
are certainly elements of it I love.
Yes.
But overall, it was an enjoyable, entertaining time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. But again, like number 5 on my list of comic book stuff this year.
Yeah.
But still, there it is. But you're right. Embarrassment of riches. I'm a little bit nervous about the Ms. Marvel finale because it does not feel like this is the final episode. But
No.
we had The Boys. Ms. Marvel has been great with my concerns. I like Thor Love and Thunder. Yeah, it's been a good time, man. This last couple of weeks have been a good time. All right, what's next?
Ashton said, my big issue post-Infinity War is a lot of plot holes and inconsistencies that are starting to add up.
I mean, everybody can have a plot hole is an overused phrase sometimes.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people find something they don't like about a movie and they just call it a plot hole. No, it's just something that you didn't like. And sometimes there are plot holes. But I mean, again, to me, it is the convoluting of the universe as a whole. The fundamental understanding of the nature of the universe and reality has been so played with. And I feel like a different wrinkle is being thrown at it with every single new property that comes out. So I don't know. We'll see how this all kind of coalesces. In Kevin Feige, we trust. Let's see how it all comes together. All right, what's next?
Arian Baxter, Baskar said, the MCU faces a problem of continuing and sort of starting anew in phase 4, I feel.
Right. But if you go to phase 1, they were able to start from scratch. Mm-hmm. Your phase 4, you're kind of restarting, but it's not from scratch.
Yeah.
You've got established characters you can draw on. You've got an established world you can draw on and all that kind of stuff. And I would say fine after 1 or 2 movies if it doesn't really quite feel like it's tightened up yet. But we are WandaVision, Black Widow, Falcon and Winter Soldier, Loki, Hawkeye, Doctor Strange, The Multiverse of Madness, Eternals, Thor Love and Thunder, Ms. Marvel now. We're almost 10 projects in.
Yeah.
Did you mention Spider-Man?
Spider-Man, no
Did
way
you
home. There
say
we go.
Shang-Chi?
And Shang-Chi, another one. And that's 11. Maybe there's
Yeah.
more that I'm forgetting. Oh, What If you want to count. I shouldn't really count that one. But right there, we're 11 projects in. The excuse of, well, we're just trying to get a new thing going. Hey, guess what? After 2 chapters at the beginning of phase 1, I felt like they had their identity.
Yeah.
I felt like they had their key players, and I felt like they were forming their story. We're 11 projects into this one, and while there have definitely been projects that I have really loved for sure. The excuse of, well, they're starting a new thing doesn't hold water
and again,
anymore.
They knew all the end game stuff was coming for how long? I mean, you can get people to get clued in and start working on this phase 4 as you had time. You knew.
By the way, Lisa also reminded us Moon Knight. So there's 12.
Oh, yeah.
Lisa in the live chat. Thank you, Lisa. So there's 12 projects you've already had. Haven't been able to find your footing yet because we're starting a new.
Look at the thumbnail behind you.
Oh, yeah, I should have just done that. Gone through all that. There we go. All right, what's next?
Up next, we have My Comic Planet. My new addiction right now is Showtime's We Hunt Together. It's a steamy crime thriller with a noir feel. It's awesome. Rob would love it. LOL. That sounds dope.
I haven't even heard of it, but steamy crime thriller.
Steamy is an underused adjective.
Steamy is an underused genre.
Yeah.
There should be a whole genre of steamy. All right, what's next?
The antagonistic anonymous.
Oh, we already had that.
Cody Hunt said, saw Thor, people lost it at the end credit scene.
Oh, my God.
That actor reveal. I was
The
excited.
character reveal, the actor reveal, the setup of the reveal. It was a terrific.
I wish I had a louder theater because I was just like,
Hey, our theater
we're
went
not
nuts.
making noise. Okay.
Our theater went nuts. All right, what's next?
Casey Mack said, hey, John and crew, I just want to say RIP to the great Gregory Itzin. You might all know him as the villainous, precise thing Charles Logan in 24. RIP.
Yeah, I read about that the president of 24 had passed away. And of course, yesterday, James Caan passed away. I mean, really sad to hear. Thanks for bringing that up, man. Well played. All right, what's next?
My Comic Planet said Robert Downey Jr. was paid $10 million for only 8 minutes of screen time in Homecoming. Is that the most an actor has been paid for the least amount of screen time? Maybe.
I don't know about that, but if it was, which I doubt it was,
Yeah.
Lena Headey may have broken that record. And because she got $7.5 million for not appearing in a single frame in Thor: Love and Thunder. She had her scene, however short her scenes were, she was paid $7.5 million, filmed at least a couple of scenes, and doesn't appear in a single minute of the film. So
that's true.
that has got to be the new record. Zero minutes of appearance, $7.5 million. That's got to come
Nice
from
work
the
if
record.
you can get it, huh?
Where are those applications?
All right, what's next?
Paul Nolan said, hi, saw Thor yesterday. I loved it. The music, wow. First time ever in IMAX.
Oh my God, the music was great.
That was a great
I'm not
choice.
the biggest Guns N' Roses fan in the world, but there's a lot of Guns N' Roses in this, and I loved every time.
I
it
will
played.
say the song pick at the end.
The song pick at the end was great, but I also love that as the Marvel thing, the Marvel logo starts to come in with the moving images, dun, 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 except they did the metal version of it. And I'm like, okay, this is perfect.
It rocked.
So good. All right, what's next?
Stubble McShave said, I feel comic book movie fatigue and phase 4 speed it up.
Well, people have been saying comic book movie fatigue for 12 years. Every year. Comic book movie fatigue setting in now for every year for 12 years.
Until a great one comes out.
Yeah,
And then,
and so no, it hasn't.
yeah.
But the more you start saturating the market with it, you're starting to push it, and maybe it could hit that point. I'm not ready to say it's comic book fatigue yet, but we could be getting there. All right, what's
Sure,
next?
raking in the dough for the fatigue.
Yeah, a lot of money this fatigue is making. What's next?
Bobby Jackson said, John, on your MCU list from the other day, did you mention X-Men 97 or Spider-Man freshman year?
Nah. I mean, cartoon. Don't get me wrong. Listen, I love good animated movies, but I don't even know how they're really going to fit these animated shows. Like, to me, What If is something you can just put aside. So, no, I didn't include those, and I don't intend to. All right, what's next?
Joser Mays said, all the stories will lead to Secret Wars.
Not really. That's gonna be a Disney Plus show. So, So I don't know. We'll see. All right, what's next?
Jared Leto writes, said, I liked Love and Thunder story-wise. Could have used some work, but still had fun. But hot dang, that's an Asgardian ass.
Listen, I'll tell you what. As boringly straight heterosexual as I am, even I, when that came out, I'm like, holy shit, look at that ass. Again, rivals only my own. I just put that out there, but yeah, that was a pretty chisel posterior, I gotta say. All right, what's next?
Got my 1625 worth. That's all I'm saying. Casey Mack said, "Whoops, stupid spell check. I meant the evil president." In
Yeah, no,
24."
don't worry, Casey. You got what you meant by that, but thank you for following up. That's very courteous of you, man. All right, what's next?
Tevin Camo said, "Just saw Thor. I definitely found myself loving the laughs, but I also feel like they didn't let the serious moments sit enough before cracking a joke."
It depends. I mean, how you handle the serious most. This goes back to Ragnarok as well. Ragnarok has some of the darkest stuff that's ever happened in the MCU happen in Ragnarok. But the question is, do they allow it to linger? Do they allow you to feel it? And Taika Waititi, it doesn't seem to matter. Like even in Jojo Rabbit, which is one of the best movies you could watch the past 5 years. But even in Jojo Rabbit, he'll punch you in the gut, but not let you sit there and just hurt for too long. They then move on. Like even the all-time iconic shoe scene in Jojo Rabbit, he'll move on from that, right? They'll hit you and then he moves on. So, I mean, but you know what? There could be something to say about allowing the heavy elements, because there are a lot of heavy elements in Thor Love and Thunder too, to allow them to linger a little bit more. And maybe that's one thing he could tighten up on a little bit. Because
it does feel like, at least in JoJo, you get, 5-10 minutes to process some of that before they're hitting you with a joke again.
And grieve and all that kind of Yeah, you're right. All right, what's next?
Rafael Castillo said, John, sorry about my Strange New World spoiler yesterday. I also got a huge kick when the Romulans appear on the screen. Everyone looks at Spock and that old TOS music plays.
Again, I haven't seen the finale, so I can't comment on it. I've not watched it, so I can't. But it's crazy because obviously Rob came into the studio yesterday complaining about Star Trek, the Star Trek episode. I mean, here's the point. I literally had to beg him. I said, Rob, listen, I love you, but I cannot have you come in here anymore every single fucking day whining about Star Trek. I cannot hear it anymore. Please, no more pre-show Star Trek talk. But it's funny because he liked one or two of the episodes of Strange New Worlds, but he came in really complaining about the new episode. I have gotten so many emails. I haven't watched it yet. I've gotten so many emails from people who loved it. Like just really raving about it. So, I mean, I don't know. It's there. All right, what's next?
Up next, we have DGMC. 1 out of 5. Here we go. Been following the Metal Gear Solid movie for years now and concluded that the script issues are due to budget, due to sets and effects needed.
That's all we got.
That's all we got.
Oh, I'm sorry about that's the risk you take, man, when you think you're going to get in a whole.
We were going to get an essay too.
Yeah, you know what? So just save those ones. We'll remember that when you want to talk about Metal Gear Solid. That get those in tomorrow. Just have them ready to go when we. On Monday. Just have them ready to go when we open up the super chats. Because when you're trying to get in those long ones, we only keep it open for so long. So we'll remember this on Monday. We will. So just follow up with that on when we come back on Monday. All right, what's next?
The Skyblaze said, I like that Phase 4 projects are more distinct now. I wish they didn't have world-ending stakes every time. Ms. Marvel doesn't even need a villain.
Okay, so that is a good point. One of the things, this is why Ant-Man was so great, right? If every single one of your projects is save the universe, save the universe, save
when
the world,
they said it in Thor, I kind of, as real as those stakes were, it was like, man, I don't want to save the universe every time.
Exactly. It's called the law of diminishing returns, right? You need to change gears, which is like when the first Ant-Man came along, it was so great because this is about a guy trying to save his family and save his life and make a world for his daughter. And it's just a simple heist movie, blah, blah, blah. I mean, you need to have stuff like that, which is one of the reasons why I was really liking Ms. Marvel. Again, I didn't really like the part that when they got to the Red Daggers, we find out, we need to stop them now or else it's going to end the whole world. Yep. It's like, this again? Can it just be about her saving the community center? Can it just be about her saving the neighborhood store? Can it be about her saving her neighbors? Or
I feel like it's like why Spider-Man at its best a lot of times is just like a kid fighting a villain in his neighborhood.
Yes, and because if you don't change gears like that back and forth, you start to get the law of diminishing returns. And we start to get desensitized to, okay, what's the next universe-threatening thing, right? You got to change it up, and I hope they get back to that. All right, what's next?
Cincinnati's 5-star barber
said,
John, you're right on about the MCU. Didn't like Thor. And by the way, is Gollum Aura still crouched behind the couch playing with his precious?
That's kind of what it looked like, right? His Xbox Series S is precious. That's kind of what it looked like. No, he came out of the cave.
Just jealous.
Yeah, it's true. Most people are just jealous. All right, what's next? Thanks, Cincinnati.
Joel Ralston with the $20 super chat.
Thank you, Joel.
I think the MCU multiverse is showing us the TVA is not as powerful as we initially thought. Kang is going to need to be a serious threat if he plans to capture these people groups, and the FF might be the main solution.
But again, part of the complication is a lot of stuff talked about in the TVA has been contradicted by other universal understanding things of dimensions and time and space. Yeah. or just simply doesn't fit alongside of some of those things. So that's been a significant problem. And they really do need to clarify that. And again, I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to Kevin Feige that he will clarify it. But as of right now, it hasn't been, and they need to get there pretty soon. And was that it?
Couple more.
Okay,
Couple
what's next?
more. Morgan Holmes with the $20 super chat.
Thank you, Morgan.
Saw Thor, loved it. Not the best. Not as good as Ragnarok, but overall a good time. Like I said, that really seems to be the consensus.
I
Liked it a lot.
agree. And you know what? This is the thing. Like when a new crime movie comes out, I always get frustrated when people, for the first question people ask me if I see a mob movie, or whatever, is it as good as The Godfather?
Of course not.
Well, it doesn't. Not everything needs to be as good as The Godfather. Thor Ragnarok was one of the most successful, crowd-pleasing movies that the MCU has done. It doesn't have to live up to that, as long as it can be good. Like, and that's all I ask. When I put down my money, go see a movie, just give me a good time.
It was satisfying, which I appreciate, because
I
I
agree.
feel like it's been a minute since I've seen a superhero movie where I left, or like an MCU movie, particularly, where I felt left feeling really satisfied with the
like when I
story they
watched
told.
Hawkeye, right? That's a good example. The series finale happened and ended, and I was not satisfied. It did not work for me. Thor did. So, I mean, that's a good thing.
So
All
it's
right.
Thor like in thunder.
Thor, Light, and Thunder.
I'm sorry.
Thor,
Somebody
liked
make
it
that
quite a
shirt.
bit. And Thunder.
Somebody make that shirt. All right, what's next?
We have Wesley Niamela with a few super chats in there. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Wesley. And that'll do it, guys.
One more premium
One from
chat.
our members.
Yeah, from Reels and Heels, he says over and under 40%. Henry Cavill walks on stage with Dwayne Johnson at Comic-Con.
Over. No. I really do. Now, again, no insider information, but with what Dwayne Johnson said on Twitter the other day, and with them making a big deal now about this Black Adam panel at Comic-Con, I'm not saying 90%, I'm not saying 80%, but I will take over 50% that Henry Cavill either comes out on stage or is announced at Comic-Con. And with that, Warner Brothers wins Comic-Con. I mean, if that happens, they win Comic-Con.
And Henry Cavill added to anything is a good thing. I mean, I like the dude.
Oh, yeah.
When Cap was passing away, he mentioned him and all that stuff. He seems like a good dude to have anywhere.
Again, I'm not saying 80%. I'm not saying 90%. I'm not saying it's a guarantee. But I will take over. I'll easily take over the 40% that happens. So let's see. All right, guys. That'll do it for this installment and this week's worth of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much, guys, for being here, making this show part of your day. Big special thank you to those of you who sent in super chats, number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it, and all of us involved with the John Campea Show. Thank you guys so very much for your support. Couple things. We got a mailbag coming a little bit later today. Also, we've got The Boys open spoiler discussion. Robert Meyer Burnett's going to be here doing that. Make sure you guys come back and see that. That's going to be at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 6 p.m. if you're in New York or on the East Coast. So make sure you guys come back and join us for that. So I want to thank, completing out her first week, Amy Newman. Amy, thank you so much. Where can people find you, either on Instagram or on Twitter?
I'm on Instagram at amy.n.newman and on Twitter at amy__Newman, because they wouldn't let me have dots in my name. Anyways, thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute delight.
And we will, of course, have you back again next week. We're looking forward to that. Ray Ora. Ray, where can people find you?
Ray Ora with a 0.
And, of course, the guy running the show, producer Jonathan Voico. Jonathan, where can people find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at Sonic if you want it.
And you guys can, of course, follow me on Instagram or on Twitter, simply at John Campea. You can see that down there. Thanks so much for being here, guys. That'll do it for now. My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.